vitamin D and also vitamin B6, which contributes to the regulation of hormonal activity and helps reduce tiredness. All in just 2 capsules a day. Ask for Menamin at health stores and pharmacies or learn more at cleanmarine.ie. I'm glad I did.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127. And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest, the 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
And it is a very good morning. You're very welcome along to another week of the 9 till noon show here in Highland Radio. It is Monday, the 7th of March 2022, 5 minutes past 9, and we've another busy show for you lined up. We want you to get involved, have your say. WhatsApps and text to 086 60 25000, 086 60 25000, or give us a call on 074 91 25000. And if emailing is your thing, well, it's comments at highlandradio.com, and you can also interact with us, of course, on our social media. We'd be more than happy for you to do so. All right, as I say, lots coming up on the programme, so let's crack on with a look at what's making the front of the newspapers today, starting with the Derry People Donegal News. The continuing devastation in Ukraine has prompted a galvanisation of humanitarian efforts in Donegal. It comes following a turbulent week of unrelenting fighting across Ukraine as the Russian invasion intensifies. Up to 1 million people, should I say, have already fled Ukraine to border counties or countries seeking safety. And a Polish woman living in Dunlo, left so distraught by what has unfolded, said she felt compelled to help. And we're going to be speaking to other members of the Ukrainian community in Donegal, or the Donegal Ukrainian community, in the first hour of this programme. On to the Nationals this morning, the Irish Independent, and it has a higher figure of those fleeing Ukraine. Efforts to evacuate 200,000 people from the besieged city of Mariupol failed for a second day yesterday as Europe faced its worst refugee crisis since World War II, as more than 1.5 million people fled across the borders of Ukraine in search of shelter. Civilian casualties continued to mount as Russian shells pounded major cities. Russian forces broke ceasefire agreements designed to secure humanitarian corridors to evacuate civilians from several besieged cities yesterday. Families fleeing their homes with suitcases and pets were bombarded with shells as they attempted to leave the city of Irpin near Kiev. And anyone witnessing that rolling coverage on the news will see how shocking it truly is. Okay, the Irish Times again, its lead story is going to be on that crisis. Moscow has warned it will view any bid by the West to guard Ukraine's airspace as an act of hostility, as the United said it was seeking ways to help Poland provide warplanes to its neighbours, and Kiev pleaded for NATO help against Russian bombardment. And we all know the problems here, that if the West is seen to interfere too closely, then that is seen as engagement directly with Russia, and they are promising to react. Well, Russia's ground forces faced fierce resistance from Ukraine's troops 11 days after invading, but Moscow's air power is inflicting a heavy toll on Ukrainian civilians and infrastructure such as schools and hospitals, as well as on military sites. Ukrainian officials said plans to evacuate 200,000 civilians from the port of Mariupol failed for a second day yesterday because of Russian shelling. Elsewhere in the front of the paper, and it's not related, more landlords than ever are exiting the market and putting their properties up for sale, evicting tenants and driving a rise in family homelessness, new figures suggest. And this doesn't come as any surprise to me, because often when we talk about the situation as it relates to housing, you will have landlords contacting the likes of this programme saying, look, it's too much hassle, it's not worth it, I'm an accidental landlord, I'm just going to sell up. And it seems to be that is what's continuing to happen. There was a sharp increase throughout last year in the number of notices to quit issued to tenants, according to the RTB, rising from 352 in the first quarter of the year to 958 in the final quarter. More than half of such notices were given because the landlord decided to sell their property. And I'm sure, though, there are those who have received those types of orders that maybe wonder if that's exactly what's happening. And it's a very complicated area. If you have your view on that, of course, by the way, 086 60 25,000. The Irish Daily Mail this morning, Irish motorists could face even higher petrol prices after the United States pushed for a total ban on Russian oil imports last night, experts have warned. And already we're seeing, €2 plus at some forecourts for petrol and diesel. Interestingly, to see diesel and petrol being offered at the same price. And of course, you speak to people who maybe buy these products in bulk, and they're saying that there are issues in terms of supply. I wonder, is that going to be a problem for the general population? I know certainly in some parts, be it north or south in this country, people are trying to order, maybe large amounts of fuel, be it diesel or home heating oil, and they're being restricted or told it's not available. Now, I don't know if that's isolated incidents or if that's something that we're going to see more of again. If you've got any insight into that or a comment on it, 086 60 25,000. Well, Washington is in active talks with European allies about targeting Russia's energy industry in the next round of sanctions, US Secretary of State Anthony Blinken announced. Now on to the Daily Star today, and we're going to be speaking to the Agriculture Minister, Charlie McConalogue, a little later on in the programme. So interesting to get your views on this story. The price of food could rocket in the coming months, and there could be some shortages due to the Russian invasion of Ukraine, where much of Europe's grain is grown. It's understood that huge swathes of wheat and maize growing areas of that war-torn country have been abandoned. There's also likely to be an acute shortage of fertiliser in this country, as much of it is produced in Russia. Yesterday it was revealed that Agriculture Minister Charlie McConalogue will meet with farming bodies tomorrow to discuss food and animal feed security in light of the ongoing war in Ukraine. The minister has set up an emergency team in his department to monitor the supply chain situation. He confirmed that getting farmers to plant some grain crops this year is on the agenda, and as I say, we'll be speaking to that Minister Charlie McConalogue, a little later on. Okay, chaotic rush for passports is one of the stories in today's Sun. The Department of Foreign Affairs is being urged to issue accurate information about passport waiting times, as delays are causing chaos for families. Technical issues with the system in recent weeks have compounded the problem of trying to get passports back to first-time applicants, most usually infants and children. Social Democrats co-leader Catherine Murphy said, "I can't recall anything like the volume of passport inquiries that I'm getting, and I'm presuming that it's the same with every TD. So at this stage, there is a degree of chaos that people are feeling." I think the department has to come out and be very honest with people about the length of time they're going to be waiting. And of course, as I say, lots of people will understand exactly where they're coming from there. And as I mentioned, in the Mirror today, they're talking about farmers told to plant more food fears. But below that, there is a story about MEPs, an MEP claiming NATO must share blame for invasion. And it's not just this one MEP, it's seemingly a lot of people with the same sort of ideology. An MEP yesterday claimed NATO goaded Vladimir Putin before he invaded Ukraine. Claire Daly also stated Russia had genuine and legitimate security concerns in the lead up to the invasion. She also claimed Ukraine should not be supplied with arms. The Dublin MEP told RTEs this week the narrative that somehow the war is happening because we're dealing with some crazed maniac in the form of Putin is a distortion of the reality that one of the contributing factors had been constant destabilization of that region by NATO. That being said, if you are bombing civilians and you are agreeing to create corridors to allow civilians safe passage and you bomb those, well, that kind of sounds a little bit like, to me, the act of a crazed maniac. But Claire Daly jumping to his defence and stating that, the West, NATO, has a role to play, has a responsibility in this. Do you agree with her, perhaps? 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 07491 25,000. Now, I think I'm joined on the programme now by Svitlana Perch, who is from Ukraine but living in Donegal. Can you hear me okay, Svitlana? Okay, well, I'm just not getting you there for a moment. What I'll do is I'll take a short break, and then we'll be back with Svitlana. Get your views and comments into us, 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000, or call us on 074 91 25,000.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Mortgages now available with a personalised service from your local and friendly credit union. Email mortgage@letterkennycu.ie.
Study at the College of Agriculture, Food and Rural Enterprise this September. Caffrey is Northern Ireland's specialist agri-food and land-based college with campuses at Greenmount, Antrim, Loughry, Cookstown and Enniskillen. Discover courses in agriculture, food, horticulture, equine, floristry, veterinary nursing, land-based engineering and business. Join our virtual open week each evening on Discover Caffrey Facebook from Monday 7th of March. For event information visit cafre.ac.uk.
Attention all tractor and forklift owners. Donegal Tyres in Donegal Town is a leading supplier of agricultural and solid forklift tyres in the northwest with a huge range available at competitive prices. Donegal Tyres can help you choose the correct tyre for your application and we will come to you, so no downtime. Check out DonegalTyres.com or call 07497 21482. That's Donegal Tyres, Donegal Town, where you'll get a great deal.
See Andre Rieu with Highland Radio at the Three Arena Dublin on the rescheduled date of Saturday, the 14th of May 2022. The package includes luxury transfers, accommodation on a bed and breakfast basis at the City North Hotel and your ticket to the show, all for €275 per person sharing. A €60 single supplement applies. A €100 non-refundable deposit required to secure your place. Andre Rieu at the Three Arena Dublin, May 2022. Call Highland Radio on 074 91 25,000 to secure your place. The perfect Mother's Day gift.
Breedon's Furniture, Cooley-Maville. With over 40 years of experience in furniture and floor coverings, they've got Irish-made furniture, suites, beds, mattresses, dining, flooring, slide robes and occasional furniture. Great prices and large selection now available at Breedon's Home Furnishers, Cooley-Maville.
Milford Tiles, wood flooring and bathware. Milford Retail Park now open. Large range of wall and floor tiles on display and in stock. Over 70 different laminate floors to suit every pocket. Tilers and wood fitters available. New bathware showroom now open. Milford Tiles, wood flooring and bathware. 083 091 0707.
Welcome back to the programme, and I hope I can hear Svitlana now. Good morning, Svitlana. How are you? No, I think you might be muted. Sorry, Svitlana, if you could just unmute for us. Okay, I'll tell you while Svitlana does that, I think I can also welcome onto the programme Natasha Babirova. Good morning to you, Natasha. How are you keeping?
Good morning. Keeping well.
Yeah,
Hoping
it's difficult, isn't it?
Good morning. Yes, it's very, very difficult.
Okay, tell us, how long is it since you moved from Ukraine to Donegal?
I've been to Ireland for 12 years.
Mm-hmm. And have you still got family and friends, I wonder, back in Ukraine? And are you able to stay in contact with them? What are they saying to you?
Thanks God I can contact them and even video. I have all relatives, parents, sister, nephews, aunts, uncles, everybody there.
And what part of Ukraine are they in?
It's like central or southern western part of Ukraine.
Okay.
But, it was... Yesterday I said it is quiet there, but maybe in 30 minutes they bombed airport near Vinnytsia. So I'm not
are your family able to flee to safety, or are they holed up awaiting what's next? What is the situation?
They're waiting because my parents are old enough to move anywhere. And my father said I will die here on my native land. I won't move anywhere. So they're hoping, staying.
It must be incredibly difficult for you.
Yes, it's very difficult. It's very difficult for me. And my husband and my friends here in Bankrana will support me.
Did you ever think this could happen? I mean, you left Ukraine, I think, shortly after Crimea was annexed, so we were all aware of what Putin was capable of, but did you ever think that he would go for a full-scale invasion of your country?
Never, because we hope that the man has a bit of mind, a bit of brain in his head, but we were wrong. He's devil, just simple devil.
Stay with me, because as I mentioned, I want to bring also into the programme Svetlana Perch. Svetlana, sorry about the issue there. I suppose you're probably in a very similar situation. I mean, does it seem almost unreal when you see what's happening and when you hear from your from Ukraine what's happening?
For me, it's unreal. I still cannot believe that in 21st century we have the third war in Ukraine. Before I read about the war in the books, but now I watching the news, I'm chatting with my parents, with my family, and there is real war in Ukraine. It's unbelievable.
And it seems that the intent is to destroy Ukraine physically and to completely break the will of the people. That seems to be the motivation.
It's really hard to say, but a big city in Ukraine, all destroyed. The people lost their lives, the kids. For yesterday, I think it was 38 kids that they lost their lives in the war. The people fled, the people ran away from the east part of Ukraine, and they found the shelter in the west part, in Poland, in other countries that want to help them. They support them.
This is a difficult question for me to ask, because obviously there's a great deal of pride and passion, but there seems an inevitability to this. You know, the West are not going to get involved like the Ukrainian president might like them to. Putin, is incredibly determined, it seems, and has all the tools in his arsenal to wipe Ukraine out. And everyday lives are being lost. You know, innocent lives are being lost. How is it time that maybe if an inevitable was accepted and we try to negotiate some sort of an agreement that would save lives? I just wonder how many lives will be lost before we get to what seems to be the inevitable outcome. Does that make sense? It's a difficult question to ask, but
it's a difficult question because nobody knows what can happen tomorrow. Maybe he will occupy western part of Ukraine. Maybe the Russian soldiers will move to, after Kyiv, they can move to Lviv or other big cities of Ukraine. Nobody knows how many lives.
And also we don't know what his intentions might be when he reaches the western border. I mean, Poland.
Probably, yeah, after Ukraine, he can occupy Poland, and after Poland, he can move forward.
Are you still able to stay in contact with your family?
Yes, I am keeping in contact with my family on the phone and online for now. For now, they are safe because my family live in the western part of Ukraine, but they are living in fear. They are preparing, they are built a shelter in the basement. They have all documents in a case in any bomb attack, they can move out. But for now, they don't want to leave Ukraine. They want to stay at home, at their home.
Natasha, I mean, what do you see as not a solution to this, or what would you like to see to try and, you know, stop this awful bloodshed that we're seeing? Okay, that's Natasha on the phone line there. But yeah, hello? Natasha, what would you like? Yes, go ahead. Sorry.
You see, we don't ask Ukrainians don't ask NATO or Western countries to go and fight. We ask to protect us, to protect the sky, because you see, Russian army, it doesn't have any dignity because they breaches all the rules and laws of the war. So we just ask to defend us. We will fight with them on our own, but just protect the sky, because they use missiles and aircraft to bomb civilians. We don't need American hands to come to our land and fight for us. We just ask to protect us.
Yes, but of course the Vladimir Putin has said that he would see that as, direct West versus Russia engagement that would drag the West into the war, and NATO are arguing that we'd be seeing a European or global war, and those are the reasons why that can't be done. But I know, speaking to some Ukrainians, say we're already in a third world war.
Oh my God! You see, to solve this problem, we need more voices from all over the world. I mean, the politicians and deputies from Western countries.
All right, listen, I want to bring Svetlana back in on that same question. Obviously, the people of Buncrana, Donegal, Ireland and elsewhere, they're doing everything they can to raise money, to send what might be needed. Of course, that is to be appreciated, Svetlana, but does it feel that the West is not doing enough?
I think they have to close the sky. And everyone from Ukraine, everyone is praying that the sky will be closed.
But what about the argument again? I'll put the same question to you, because the argument is that leads to an inevitable, world war. Yeah. I understand. I
don't know. What can I say now?
Yeah. How did we end up in this situation?
Everyone is trying to do the best. Everyone is helping. Everyone is supporting. But I don't think it's enough to stop Putin.
Okay, and I suppose then, as I said, the argument is does he stop here? But it's just awful to see. It must be. I'm not trying to be emotional here, but it must feel awful knowing that you can never return to Ukraine, even if the war ended and you left tomorrow. The Ukraine that you left behind you, Svetlana, is not there anymore. The buildings have been razed to the ground.
Everything destroyed, but the Ukrainian people are so tough, and I think if the war will stop, they started to rebuild their building. They started to rebuild their cities. Everything, hopefully, I'm 100% sure that everything will back to normal.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us. I really do appreciate it. And I'll put the same question to you. What is your feelings, Natasha, when you think of, the Ukraine that at least in terms of the buildings and infrastructure, it's never to be returned to. It's being destroyed with every passing day.
You see, we Ukrainians love Ukraine as a mother. And we will rebuild everything, and we will keep our mother Ukraine to back again, and everything will come as it was before. Nothing will remind us about this war.
Okay. Listen, thank you very much for joining us and giving your insight into that. That was two members of the Donegal Ukrainian community, Svetlana Perch and Natasha Babiroa, and we appreciate their time this morning. Now, to some of your comments, and keep them coming in to us, 086 60 25,000. That's the WhatsApp number, that's the text number, or give us a call on 07491 25,000. This caller says, now just let me get down to that. Greg, good morning. And the Highland team. Donegal County Council is rated the worst council in Ireland for granting planning permission for housing. A good friend and his wife have been turned down planning permission for a house on two different sites, 20 miles apart from each other. I know Ireland being in a housing crisis, and Donegal especially bad with Micah. Why is Donegal County Council so harsh to their own people? I'm putting planning permission in on my own land, and soon, and already know I'm facing a battle like thousands of Donegal people before me. I think the council is wrong in this, and the government needs to step in and review the council's working here in Donegal. This feeds into the decline in population as people leave Donegal. Is this the policy of the council? Another caller says, Claire Daly is saying what the hub of the issue is. I feel sorry for the Ukrainian people, but joining NATO was never an option. Putin did warn them. The first casualty of war is always the truth. That's one view. Is Minister Charlie McConnell suggesting farmers go back to scythes? Farmers were mixed back in the 40s, and farmers knew how to grow grains and vegetables. Machinery was non-existent, bar thrashing machines, and 6 times as many people were employed on farms. Mixed farming is more sustainable, but farmers cannot switch overnight. Come April, we won't be able to get diesel and petrol or home heating oil. Has Charlie McConnell considered the weather at the moment? Farmers can't even walk in their fields, never mind trying to get machinery into them. And I just presume that that's going to depend on what part of the country you live in, the type of land that you have. Another caller says, one thing I don't agree with is people from Russia living in this country being targeted and hassled because of the war. Is that happening? You do hear reports of it, but there are Russians, and we heard from one of our guests on the Friday panel on Friday, there are Russians who live here and proudly support what Putin is doing. They would perhaps be along the same mindset of as Claire Daly and others. We can't presume that all Russians are completely aghast at what is going on. I don't know what the breakdown of those that might support Putin versus those that would not is. Greg, America has no room to talk. They've done the same thing in Vietnam. People have a short memory. But thank you for reminding us. Okay, 086 60 25,000. Keep us busy on the phone lines, or give us a call on 07491 25,000. It is the 9 till noon show. We'll be back with our next guest after these messages.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages with life cover provided at no additional cost. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
It's exciting times at Hillside D-Max in Letterkenny because they've moved, but not too far. Their new kitchen design studio is now open at Curralees on the other side of the Mountaintop Roundabout. This new studio showcases the latest kitchen, wardrobe and slide robe designs with D-Max renowned attention to detail and exceptional quality. Hillside D-Max, in the heart of your home since 1994. Now at Curralees, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
Win the VIP matchday experience with Cadbury. Enter online for your chance to win. The luxury hotel with the chauffeur meet and greet a football legend, topped off with a pair of signed boots.
With thousands of vouchers also to be won, search Cadbury. Win a day in their boots. T's and C's apply.
Better value lives at Dunnes Stores with big savings on your favourite brands. Start with selected Kellogg's cereals and Petit Filou 12 packs, both half price. Stock up on soft drinks. 7-Up, 7-Up Free, Pepsi Max and Club Orange, 9 and 12 can packs are all €5 each. Plus, with our 10 off 50 grocery voucher, you save even more. That means every trip to Dunnes Stores means better value. Dunnes Stores, always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used on next grocery shop of €50 or more.
For indoor and outdoor fun, Tinny's Toys have something for everyone. From pedal and electric ride-ons to go-karts and scooters, there's loads of fun guaranteed. Also swings and slides, trampolines, goalposts and so much more. If you have a kid's birthday coming up, Tinny's Toys can help make it special. Visit Tinny's Toys on Leck Road, Letterkenny, or shop online for express delivery at tinnystoys.com. Tinny's Toys, with so much more than just farm toys.
Are you ready?
Yes, Chris.
Question for £1 million is, what do Crawford tiles do? Is it A, tiles, B, wooden flooring, C, bathroom suites, D, 5-day bathroom refits?
All 4.
You've just won £1 million! Well, not really. After taxes, you lose a bunch of money, but hey, whatever. Crawford Tiles, Castlefin, 07491 43942.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. Now, we can go to the Ukrainian-Polish border, and I'm joined on the programme by Alan Gale, who's delivering food and medicine. Good morning to you, Alan.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm okay. Did I get your location correct, Alan?
Yeah, you have. So we are situated in the town of Rzeszów, and we are heading now with more supplies to Medica.
Were you prepared for what you were going to see, what it was actually like on the ground, I wonder?
No, not at all. We've never seen, we've never been in any situation like this. But when we got up to Medica, we ended up going into like a primary school that's probably about 800 meters from the Ukrainian border, and they take people to this school to process them, and they're only brought in there for between 5 and 24 hours, and then they're sent on the way to wherever they're going.
And, I'm reading accounts of people that 2 weeks ago they had, say, for instance, just taken the keys of a new apartment, or had started a new job, or had just started a family, and then, I think it's pretty much generally accepted, completely out of the blue. Here we are less than 2 weeks later, and for these people, everything has changed, and it's fantastic that many of them are being accommodated with other families. But I can only begin to imagine the impact this is having on these people, on their physical, but of course their mental well-being.
Yeah, of course it is. Of course. So last night when we were driving back to we're based in one of the larger towns just outside the border, and the reason we've based ourselves here is that most of the big stores like camping shops and various different things and food stores, they're all here. So what we do is we go to Nadiga every day, and these guys give us a list of what they need, the most urgent kind of stuff, and we head back and then we purchase it. And last night as we were coming back, there was a filling station on the motorway, and it's just full of cars, full of people that have just crossed the border, and they're actually numb. They're actually completely numb to what's happening. So they're numb. They're in shock, and we're seeing this. Yeah,
it must seem, as I said earlier, it must seem like unbelievable for these people.
Yeah.
And what kind of? I mean, obviously you're incredibly busy. Are you having an opportunity to speak? What are they telling you of what they've left behind?
Well, they're not, and we're not trying to approach them because we're not. You can visibly see that they're devastated. So what we've been doing is just giving a wave, just saying hello to them, just to let them know that where people are supporting them and all over the world. But it's not just us that are here. There's people here from like Sweden, Switzerland, Norway. A huge amount of humanitarian guys that have been in these situations many times, and the support behind these people is amazing, absolutely amazing. So it is, but it's still devastating to see what's going on. So we're not seeing anything in terms of, we don't see anything to do with any of the war. Very little kind of military presence where we are. All we're seeing is the human side of it. The people that have just got over the border, the lucky people that got over the border.
And of course, I think it's widely known at this stage that 18 to 60-year-old men, I understand there's a directive that they have to stay in Ukraine. So is it the overwhelming majority of those crossing the border? Is it women and children?
Yeah, women and children.
And of course, a lot of the people we've been speaking to on this program never thought this would happen in Ukraine. I wonder, have you had an opportunity to speak to people living in Poland, and is there a sense that is Putin going to stop at the border there, or what's his greater plan? Is there concern or fear, or is everyone at the moment just focused on helping their Ukrainian neighbours?
Yeah, that's it. The Polish people are just focusing on helping people. But I have to say that from the Polish side, they couldn't do any more for these people. They're totally accommodating, even to us, to make sure that we can keep going and keep moving and buying materials and whatever it is we have to do. But the support here is incredible. I'm going to let you talk to a very good friend of mine, and this all sparked off to us from a phone call he made to me last Sunday about making a donation to this cause. And from that conversation, we said, look, let's get in a van, let's get out there, let's fly out there, and let's do something, and let's help them. So this is Peter. He's from Poland, but he lives in Ireland. He lived in Ireland for many, many years. And it was Peter that kind of woke me up to what was going on. So can I put you on to him?
Please, yes, please, thanks.
Hello.
Peter, good morning to you.
Good morning to you. How are you? So obviously my name is Peter Segula. I was born in Poland, and I'm living about 16 years in Dublin. One question you said before about what people are feeling. Okay, we've met a Ukrainian guy yesterday that he went for his business trip to Abu Dhabi, right? And his flight was cancelled because obviously the war started. We've only met him yesterday, and what he said was that look, I could be actually dead by this day if the flight wasn't cancelled, and just kind of it's hard to talk about it and stuff, and now with Polish people here on the border, they're still feeling very, very stressed about the whole situation, and they'll be worrying about the atomic bomb, coming and stuff. It's just hard, for everybody here, especially at the border side, because I don't think people realize what's happening here. Yesterday, we went to Przemyśl, one of the cities nearby Medica, the Polish-Ukrainian crossing. What we've seen over there, it was probably nothing, but it was just devastating our heads, to put it this way. We stopped. There was a lot of tents. There was a lot of people, kids, police, medics, and stuff. Everybody trying to bring these people in and just help them out, which was very hard to look at. Breaking the heart,
Yes, so obviously you were so moved to make the calls that you did to try and get over there to help, and I'll put the same question to you that I put to Alan. Nothing perhaps could have prepared you for what it actually is like when you're there and you can witness it with your own eyes.
The only thing we really here to aware people and just say it from an Irish side of point of view, what way does it look over here? We're posting this stuff and everything else. We're trying to help. We've spent a lot of money, and we've been donated a lot of money as well. Just to go buy the materials and just get it over across the border. 2 days ago, we've met a guy from Switzerland. His name was Philip Weinberg, and Philip basically was doing the humanitarian transport for the last 25 years. And the stuff that we stand, which was about 30,000 zloty, so roughly saying 7,500 euros.
Yes.
All the stuff that we bought went straight away to his truck, and an hour later they left to Lviv just to get the stuff over, and the generators, I've seen your man crying, and he said, guys, that's the generator's gonna save a lot of lives. Thank you very much for giving me that, because we couldn't get it at all. Something amazing. Seeing a man in his whatever age he was, but I think over 50 anyway, crying like a baby, just to see the situation that he is going to help only because somebody is giving him a generator, he said it's going to save a lot of lives, So it's very emotional as well.
Yeah, and speaking to Alan there, and I've heard other reports that that really the needs, the support is being tailored to the needs of the people. So with that in mind, are people, obviously they want to gather up things like sleeping bags or coats or whatever there might be, but it's money really. Is it money that is required to support these people, do you think, Alan? Because then, of course, their individual needs can be more catered for.
Yeah, so money is the forefront of what they need at the moment. So there's huge donations of, and as you're driving up the motorways, you know, you got all these points where people are being taken out of Ukraine, and they have these like clothing banks, and they've got food banks. So there's plenty of food here, there's plenty of clothes here, but the essential stuff that needs to get across the border, we need to purchase here. That's not being donated because people don't know what they're you know, exactly what's needed. So today it's about generators, baby food, and kind of tin goods. So every time we arrive back on the border, the stuff that we have, it goes. They take a look. We open the van, they take a look, and they go that. And the minute they see something that's essential, it's taken from the van and it's put into another van that's driven straight to the border. So, but so when we were talking to the guys in the Red Cross, so what they've told us is that what we're going to see coming across the border in the next 4 to 5 days is going to be the actual the casualties, the battle casualties of war, the people that have been shot or whatever. So they're coming across, but there's an essential need for sanitising at the moment. So, you know, you can imagine that people are bunkered down for the last 2 weeks, or it'll be about 2 weeks. And when they come over, the Red Cross have told us that it's going to be about keeping people sanitised and keeping stuff. So we own a company in Ireland called Sanitisation Ireland, and we set that company up to deal with COVID. So we have developed a number of different ways of sterilising costumes. So we work directly for the film industry, and why we develop these big kind of tunnels. So we've developed these sanitising tunnels. Yeah. And that they were developed because all the costumes that were on the films, you couldn't wash this equipment, so it had to be sanitised and sterilised. So we came up with a decontamination tunnel where we put all the costumes into these tunnels, then we pump it full of chemicals and we pressurise it, and those chemicals get impregnated into the clothes, and that keeps it clean. So we just realised that it's essential that we get that equipment from Ireland to here. So we have guys loading the equipment in Ireland today. We're going to bring it up to the border, and where we are on the border in a couple of days, that's going to turn into a medical field. What's it called? It's going to be a field hospital set up on the border crossing we're on.
Yes.
As soon as that stuff is coming in, there's no time to wash this stuff or whatever else. So we will push everything. We'll push everything through that tunnel and keep handing everything back that's sterilised back to the medics and the people that are doing. Okay. So it could be, you know, sheets, bedding, anything like that, towels, and without washing it, we can actually sterilise it and know that when we hand that back to them, there's no cross-contamination.
Okay. Listen, Alan, thank you very much for giving us that update from the Polish-Ukrainian border. Thanks very much to Peter as well. We appreciate your time this morning and the work that you're doing. Thank you. Okay, 086 60 25,000, that's the WhatsApp or text number, 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 07491 25,000. We're going to be talking rising fuel prices after these messages.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
We're the connectors. At ESB Networks, we've been connecting customers to Ireland's power network for years. We've also been making new connections, building a network that's stronger than ever, so we can all be kinder to the planet. Connecting our network to natural resources and Ireland to a net zero future that's more sustainable. ESB Networks, connecting you to a clean electric future.
Brian McCormick, Sports and Leisure, Main Street, Letterkenny. New O'Neill's Donegal range in-store and online. Home jersey available in many options for men, women and juniors. New Donegal goalkeeper jersey out now. Donegal O'Neill's Harlem range with new jackets, hats and snoods to help you show your colours. Look the part, play the part. In-store or online. Click and collect on bmcsports.ie.
Mike Denver in concert with guests Ray Lynham and Brendan Shine at the Inishowen Gateway Hotel Buncrana on Sunday, March 13th. Tickets at hotel reception and ticketmaster.ie. That's Mike Denver with guests Brendan Shine and Ray Lynham at the Inishowen Gateway Hotel Buncrana, Sunday, March 13th.
Have you seen the crack that Highland Radio are having on Instagram? Are you a follower? If not, this weekend is your chance. We have a 50-inch LG Smart TV to give away. Visit our Instagram page for more details at Highland Radio Donegal.
Donegal Hearing Clinic, now open at Pierce Road, Letterkenny and Buncrana, now offering state-of-the-art rechargeable hearing aids free with your PRSI. Also pain-free microsuction wax removal services. Call 07491 88470 or donegalhearingclinic.ie. Life sounds brilliant with Donegal Hearing Clinic.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio, and I'm pleased to welcome onto the programme now the Chief Executive of Fuels for Ireland, Kevin McPartland. Kevin, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Right, okay. Everyone will know now we're seeing the fuel prices increase. I think, prior to the Russian invasion of Ukraine, the notion was that we would have, we'd see them come back a little bit as inflation fell. That's clearly not the case. We are looking at at least medium term anyway. I mean, how high can these prices go?
Oh, I mean, only a fool would try and speculate on oil prices or somebody who has inside information, and I don't. Look, the reality is, yes, you're right, we were at high prices already. A large part of that, though, was kind of related to Ukraine or Russian pressure on Ukraine and concerns around the security of supply of Russian oil and gas. But since the invasion has happened, that has really ratcheted up the inflationary pressure on fuel prices. So it is a very difficult situation. We think there is only one way out of it, though, which is, a year ago, government was taking 23 cent per litre in VAT on diesel. Today, they're taking 37.5 cent. It's slightly less, the change is slightly less on petrol, but the government is collecting an extra €36 million per month from Irish motorists in VAT on the back of these increased fuel prices. We think they need to address that quickly, and the best way to do that is for them to reduce excise duty. That's something they can do overnight. Yeah.
They have to do something, though. But before we talk more about the prices, we have to also talk about the supply, because, it was only a deal Shell did in the last couple of days in buying oil from Russia, discounted oil from Russia, that is giving some certainty about supplies for the coming weeks. So, are we going to be, maybe arguing the toss over the cost of this product and really find ourselves struggling to even acquire it?
Well, right now, we have adequate stock in Ireland, and the supply chain is looking like we will continue to have adequate supply, so we're not terribly concerned on that level, so long as purchasing habits don't change dramatically. And we have to be straight and say that, as prices have increased very quickly, people have very reasonably said, well, listen, I better stock up because it might be more expensive tomorrow or next week, whatever. So you see people stocking up on home heating oil and even the fuel for their own cars. Perhaps more significantly, high volume users, hauliers, farmers, whatever, have been stocking up. And that has created a little bit of a problem just in terms of meeting all of that extra surge in demand right now. But we're on top of it, and we're confident that we will remain so. Yeah, because, I'm hearing of people trying to order home heating oil, being told there's no stocks available. Also, those that might, maybe in the taxi industry or bus industry that would buy it in bulk so they can fill at the yard, having difficulties in obtaining supply. I don't think it's fair to say that they're being told there is none. What people are being told is perhaps that they have to wait an extra couple of days for delivery because we do have that surge in demand, or people are being limited the volumes that they can buy. So I know that there are a number of home heating oil suppliers, including in Donegal, who are limiting deliveries to 500 litres. Because, what's happening is people are saying, I don't normally buy in March, but because the prices are going high, I want to get them in quickly. And if everybody does that, we could have a challenge to meet demand. So what we're saying is 500 litres, you all know 500 litres will last you quite a while in a home heating oil system, unless you have a huge house, then we think that's a reasonable limit at the moment.
Okay, so that is that a diktat? Is that industry-wide then, generally speaking?
Oh, no.
But it's an explanation for what we're seeing. Okay, I get you. Sorry, I just want to be really clear, if that's okay. So realistically, what do you think the government will do? And this is not something that really can be delayed, I'd imagine. If it's going to happen, it needs to happen soon for all the reasons that's been outlined. So realistically, what do you think the government can do? And I suppose, what do you think the government might do?
What they can do, should do, and I hope will do, is reduce excise duty. Governments say that they can't change the VAT rates without going to Europe. That some people have a different view, but we don't have time for the debate. We know categorically that they can reduce the excise duty at the stroke of a pen. It's a ministerial order, and they need to do that quickly, and they need to do that. There's talk, you've seen government have been floating over the weekend that they may do something in 2 weeks. It's too late. Your listeners, our consumers, are paying over the odds right now, and the only winner in that is government. As I say, 36 million per month extra unexpected revenue. So we're not, by reducing the excise duty, we're not saying government should take less from fuel suppliers and from fuel customers. They should take what they were planning to take in the first place. That's all.
Okay, listen, thanks very much for your insight. I really appreciate it, Kevin. We'll see what comes of that. 086 60 25,000. A quick chat to caller John. Good morning, John.
Yes, Greg, how you doing? I'm freewheeling down Largy Brack here to save petrol.
You'd need to, all right.
Oh, my God.
You'd need to. It's getting crazy.
But if we have supplies in the country, why is it so expensive? I mean, the government could take the tax down a bit, or the duties.
The only thing about it is, John,
yeah?
A couple of weeks ago, the cost of the fuel would be at where we would be at if the government cut the tax, and we were already complaining about how high it was, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but it's €1 now. The government's getting €1 out of that litre there, whatever we're paying. It'll be $2.50 probably at the end of the week. But I mean, it's going to be so expensive now to live. People, buses, taxis. It's just not good. Cutting your grass, as I was saying there. I'm just saying it's just, I don't know. What's it all about?
You'd think twice on it.
Well, I mean, you're going to let the grass go now for a little bit. The wilderness here this year.
Okay, hopefully it's not that bad. But I do know we're already sort of, like everyone, I think I would say, is looking at their home heating consumption and their fuel. I mean, it's reality. This is not something coming down the line. This is what we're doing now. We're being cautious about what we're spending. We have to be.
Exactly. I mean, you go to the shops, everything's up. The price of food, the price of bread, the price of milk, everything's through the roof. Not to say it's
right,
happening,
John.
but like the war in Russia, nobody seems to be doing on. So.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Letterkenny Show Society Export Show and Sale of 55 pedigree bulls will take place this Tuesday evening, the 8th of March, at Reform Art, judging at 3 p.m. with a sale at 6:30 p.m. There will be €200 for the buyers of the 2 top price Charlie and Limousine bulls. Online bidding available via martbids.ie. All online customers and Northern Ireland customers must contact the Mart office on 074 9145 250 prior to the sale. That's this Tuesday evening at Reform Art.
Is your water safe to drink? If your water tastes unpleasant or has a foul smell, it may be a sign that something is in your water. Brothers Tech Donegal provide a complete private well water treatment service using the best water treatment equipment to meet your needs. Or maybe you drilled a new well and the water isn't satisfactory. At Brothers Tech, their expert team will also service existing problematic systems. If you're concerned about the quality of your water, call Brothers Tech on 087 638 7057.
Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Hub Dairy. We provide a full virtual office address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save your business hundreds, possibly thousands on custom charges with Space Hub Dairy. Call 048 7187 8077 for more details.
Bingo every Monday night at Halfway House Bingo Burnfoot. Doors open 7:30, eyes down 8:30. €2,500 must go. Snowball is now €4,950 on 45 numbers or less. If you're not in, you can't win. That's the Halfway House Bingo tonight at 8:30.
Buying or moving home can be a strange mixture of excitement and stress. So the last thing you need is worrying about conveyancing. Time to call McElhenney and Associates. They'll move that property transaction along swiftly, make sure everything's in order, and prevent any nasty surprises. Residential, commercial, leasing, or voluntary transfer. Call today on 074 917 5989 or find us online. We'll do the paperwork, you do the wallpaper. McElhenney and Associates Solicitors, Dunorler. How can we help?
Live, on air, online, and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
It's 10 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Catherine Gaffney. For a third day in a row, an attempt's being made to get Ukrainian civilians to safety after ceasefires were repeatedly broken over the weekend. This morning, both sides have been told to stop firing to allow humanitarian corridors in several cities, including the capital of Kyiv. People fleeing residential areas of nearby Irpin were killed during Russian shelling yesterday. Meanwhile, people are continuing to move across neighbouring borders, with the number fleeing to Poland since the start of the invasion now reaching over 1 million. And Netflix and TikTok are the latest firms to suspend most of their services in Russia, while accountancy firms PwC and KPMG are withdrawing operations too. The latest assessment from the UK's Ministry of Defence today suggests Moscow's forces are probably targeting Ukraine's communication infrastructure. Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky says Russia's caused long-lasting pain and destruction following its invasion.
We will not forgive the destroyed houses. We will not forgive the missile that our air defence shot down, and more than 500 other such missiles that hit our land, all over Ukraine, hit our people and children.
Oil prices have hit a new 14-year high. It hit $139 a barrel at one stage, but has now fallen back a little. Those prices haven't been seen since the financial crash of 2008. The US and Europe are now also considering an outright ban of the import of Russian oil. Meanwhile, the prices at the petrol pumps here continued to rise over the weekend. However, Kevin McPartlin of Fuels for Ireland says panic buying is making the problem worse.
Fuel is very expensive to store and it's a very expensive product to sit on. So we don't have thousands of tons of it hanging around waiting. It's always just in time. So if people start buying more than their normal buying patterns, then we could. I'm certainly not suggesting we have a problem, but down the line we could have a problem. So we're saying to people, just keep it calm, buy what you need, buy to your normal patterns, and we're grand.
There are calls for the HAP scheme to be extended so more MICA families can access it. HAP is a form of social housing support provided by Donegal County Council, where it makes a monthly payment to a landlord. However, it's means tested, resulting in a lot of families not being able to qualify for the scheme. This is despite many paying for a mortgage on a crumbling home and having to rent somewhere else. Councillor Marta McDermott says the council could play a big role in building a case for those affected.
The council can play a massive role here, and as the chief executive and the director of housing, with their meetings with the department, the senior department officials, with the ministers, that they can push that case very, very hard for the people here in Donegal. And to be fair, the chief executive gave that commitment that he would do that.
Wind energy was Ireland's #1 source of electricity last month. A report by Wind Energy Ireland shows wind provided 53% of Ireland's electricity in February, a record high. This comes after energy prices soared in recent months, worsened by Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Noel Coniff, CEO of Wind Energy Ireland, says the best days are yet to come for renewables.
We're really just at the start of something very special, realising the potential for Ireland in terms of the amount of renewables that we can create here in Ireland and ensuring that more and more of our energy comes from it. Seeing a figure like 53% of all of our electricity coming from wind energy in February, that will become the norm as we try to move forward. And the goal for 2030 is to try and hit 80% of all of our electricity coming from renewable energy like wind.
And there's further calls in Donegal County Council to promote greening of Alyamore. There's said to be a lack of signage and information at the tourist attraction located in Burt in South Inishowen. It's been 5 years since the OPW agreed to a conservation management plan for the site, but little progress has been made to date. Cahirla of Donegal County Council, Councillor Jack Murray, wants a renewed focus on the project. He believes a little would go a long way.
Greenland's already punching well above its weight in that we've over 100,000 visitors every year, and that's without really selling it as much as can be. So you can only imagine the potential once Greenland is truly promoted and bringing people into Inishowen across Donegal and the wider northwest. It's something we could really utilise and really tap into.
Weather now, a dry start this morning with a mix of cloud and bright spells, temperatures of 6 to 8 degrees. We're back with the headlines for you at 11 o'clock. Until then, good morning. The obituary notices for Monday morning, the 6th of March. The death has occurred of Michael Duddy, Madavilla Lichermackle Ward. His remains will be reposing at his home from 4 o'clock today. Funeral Mass on Wednesday at 1 o'clock in St Bridget's Church, Lichermackle Ward, with interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The death has taken place of Vincent McLaughlin, Drummaville, Lecamy. Vincent's remains will repose at his home in Drummaville from 4 o'clock today. House private to family and close friends, please. Vincent's funeral mass will take place on Wednesday morning at 11 o'clock in St Mary's Church, Bocken, Kildaff, followed by burial in the adjoining graveyard. The funeral mass can be viewed live on kildaffparish.com. The death has taken place of Isabel Moore, ní Beatty, 14 Ardcolumkill, Letterkenny. Removal from the Eternal Light Chapel of Rest, Mountain Top, Letterkenny, today at 4:15, going to relate residents. House private to family, close friends and neighbours, please. Funeral service in the family home on Wednesday afternoon at 2 o'clock, followed by interment in Gortley Cemetery, Letterkenny. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu of flowers, if desired, to Conwall Parish Church, care of any family member. The death has taken place of Willie Doherty, Ballyboe, Convoy, County Donegal, and formerly of Glenmaquin. Willie's remains will be reposing at his son Liam's residence at Ballyboe Convoy from 6 o'clock this evening. Funeral from there on Wednesday morning at 10:30, going to St Mary's Church, Convoy, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass. Interment afterwards in the new cemetery in Convoy. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu of flowers, if desired, to the Donegal Alzheimer's Association, care of any family member. The death has occurred of Breed Bradley, ní McGee, 25 Glebe Hollow, Stranorlar, and formerly of Mean Lara, Gortha Hork. Her remains are reposing at her late residence. Funeral leaving her late residence tomorrow at 2 o'clock for Requiem Mass at 2:30 in St Patrick's Church, Crossroads, Killygordon. Interment afterwards in the adjoining churchyard. The Requiem Mass will be streamed live on St Patrick's Church, Crossroads, Killygordon Facebook page. The house is private to family and close friends only, please. The death has taken place of Rachel Brennan, née Lafferty, 15 Dublin Road, Strabane, and formerly of Ballindrate. Reposing at her home today from 2 o'clock this afternoon. Funeral leaving her home tomorrow evening at 6:30, going to St Patrick's Church, Murlog Lifford. Requiem Mass on Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock, interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The house is private to family and friends only, please. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. The death has taken place of Mary McNamee, Drummond, Letterkenny. Mary's remains are reposing at her niece Kathleen and Joe Crawford's residence at Carrignamana, Killygordon. The house is private to family only, please. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 9:30, travelling via Mary's home at Drummond, Letterkenny at approximately 10:15, going to St Eunan's Cathedral, Letterkenny, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, which can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. Interment afterwards in Conwall Cemetery, Letterkenny. Family, flowers only, please. Donations in lieu of flowers, if desired, to the Donegal Alzheimer Association, care of any family member. The death has taken place of Joseph Campbell, Drumley, Glenealy. His remains are reposing at his sister, Mary McCarran's residence at Drumley, Glenealy. Funeral leaving there tomorrow morning at 10:15 for Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Bochen, Kildaff at 11 o'clock. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The death has taken place of Anne Devenney, Ardcrone, Key Road, Dunlow. Her remains are reposing at her late residence. Funeral Mass tomorrow at 12 noon in St Crona's Church, Dunlow, with interment afterwards in Mahary Cemetery. House private to family, close friends and neighbours only. Family, flowers only. Donations in lieu to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or Sean McGlynn, funeral director. The death has occurred in Glasgow of Charlie McGeever, formerly of Ballybowes, Falcara. His remains are reposing at his late residence in Glasgow. Removal from there, going to the Church of Christ the King, Carmonach Road, tomorrow at 7:30 to repose overnight. Funeral Mass on Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock, burial afterwards in Lynn Cemetery. The funeral Mass can be viewed live on ctkg.org. The death has occurred of Dimpna Woodforth, née Kelly, Milltown, Convoy. Her remains are reposing at the home of her brother Ewan Kelly in Milltown and Convoy. Funeral leaving from there tomorrow morning at 11 for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock in St Mary's Church, Convoy. Interment afterwards in the Old Cemetery. The death has taken place of Bertha Gamble, Ballyboe, Kilmacrennan, County Donegal. Bertha's remains are reposing at her late residence. Family home private to family and close friends, please. Funeral from there today at 1:30, going to Leiter Presbyterian Church, Leiter, Kilmacrennan, for funeral service at 2 o'clock, which can be viewed live on Craig's Media Facebook page. Interment afterwards in the adjoining churchyard. Family, flowers only, please. Donations in lieu of flowers, if desired, to the Donegal Hospice or to Wild Ireland Muff, County Donegal, care of any family member. Family time on the morning of the funeral, please. The death has occurred of Jim Boyle, Brocky, Fintra Road, Killybegs, County Donegal, and formerly of Crocknagapple, Ardra. His remains are reposing at his late residence for family, close friends and neighbours. Removal from his home this morning at 10:30, going to St Mary of the Visitation Church, Killybegs, for 11 o'clock funeral Mass. Burial afterwards in the local cemetery. The Mass will be streamed live on mcnmedia.tv. The death has taken place of Una McLaughlin, Church Bray, Greencastle. Una's remains are reposing at her home. Funeral in St Mary's Church, Ballybrack, Greencastle, this morning at 11 o'clock, followed by burial in the adjoining burial ground. Family time before the funeral this morning, please. Donations in lieu of flowers, if so desired, to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member. And the death has occurred of Cecil Brown, Grange, Inch Island. His remains are reposing at his late residence. Funeral service in his home tomorrow at 2 o'clock, followed by removal to Inch Presbyterian Graveyard for burial in the family plot. Family time from 12 midnight to 12 noon. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu, if desired, to the Ornalai, care of any family member, or Murphy Funeral Directors. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
CompuB has upgraded. Select is the new name for your local Apple expert. A next-level experience from the same great crew, offering the full Apple range with training, repairs, tech support and more. Buy any iPhone, iPad or Mac and get a 3-year extended warranty, 7-day tech support and a training course worth up to €339 on us. Only at Select. See what our knowledge can do for you. Visit us in-store or online at selectonline.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. Some of your comments coming into us, and thanks for keeping us so busy, by the way. Just a reminder for you, 086 60 25,000, WhatsApps and texts, or call 07491 25,000, or if you're watching us on our social media, feel free to leave your comments there as well. Caller says, Claire Daly is 100% correct. She's telling the facts, Greg. That does not mean she supports Putin or what he does. It's a view hardly ever heard on Western media. If people think this is all Putin's fault, they really need to question things more. Are people really going to take the USA and UK word on everything? Do people really think these big powers care about Ukraine or its people? When the thousands of people in the Donbass region were being bombed and murdered, where was the condemnation then? Did those people's lives not matter? As they say in a war, there are worthy and unworthy victims. That's what it looks like here. Putin does not want war with Ukraine. He's been saying that all along, but the US, UK and NATO would not listen. It's not a case of we aren't the good guys and he's the bad guy. Please balance your reporting more. Well, if you were listening to the programme on Friday, you would have heard the precise conversation you're having being had. And of course then there is all the, you could say, Western hypocrisy in that, we are sanctioning Russia for what they're doing, yet no sanctions or distancing from the likes of Israel, and yet then we have the head of Israel being lauded for his intervention, trying to get some sort of a negotiated settlement between Russia and Ukraine. I do get where you're coming from, and if you listen to the programme in its round, you will get that point of view as well. And although what's the point of the UN and NATO, etc., when a superpower can murder and pillage a small country whilst risking the world's environment and future, it's time to show that this form of colonialism can no longer be done on innocent human beings. But of course, as other callers have been pointing out, there is a history. There is a history here. Now, could you give the Coffee Morning in Milford a plug? Of course I can. It's on today in Milford and District Resource Centre. It runs from now until 1 p.m. It's in aid of the Red Cross Ukraine appeal. So if you feel a little bit helpless and you want to help these people, well, then you can get along and support that initiative there. And just on an unrelated matter, I tried on Friday to get through 40 times on the phone to my GP. No one would answer, they say. The patient went to the emergency department and was given out for not contacting the GP first, but told them the problem. Can GPs not start answering the phones again since they no longer have the pandemic to blame? Are the GPs open? Is it on a Sunday you ring the GP, or is it now, Doc? I'm not sure. Certainly Saturday, I believe it's now, Doc. But we've highlighted that a number of times on this programme as well. Right, okay. Keep the calls and comments coming through, all of them, by the way, and there is a mix, and I'm reading that mix. We've lots coming up in the programme. After 11 o'clock, we hope to be joined by Minister Charlie McConnell-Logue. He's going to be chatting with us. He's going to be chatting with us about those calls. Well, firstly, about how this crisis is going to impact farmers and everyone really effectively, but also the suggestion that farmers could be growing more grain. Our Monday focus today, it's a tough subject, but it's an important subject, and we're going to be talking about supports for grieving parents. Lots of parents are predeceased or have gone through loss, and there are supports out there. We're going to be speaking to two guests on that issue, an important issue. That's part of our Monday focus as well. And the census forms will be heading out soon if you haven't received yours already. So we're going to be finding out what's happening there and what our ask of us is, or our obligation. All that's going to be teased out. But stay tuned. We will be back after the bingo numbers with our next guests.
It's time for Ncbi Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Monday the 7th of March. You're playing on the green sheet. The reference number is S6. It's game number 10. The numbers are 64, 87, 44, 77, 33, 63, 66, 20, 59, and finally 27. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Ncbi Bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Hello, Grace. Where are you heading?
Down to Made to Measure Fireplaces in Creasla.
Made to Measure Fireplaces? Didn't you just buy a fireplace there?
Yeah, but I'm going now to pick my kitchen worktop.
Create the kitchen and living room of your dreams at Made to Measure Fireplaces and Granite Worktops. They've been in business for over 40 years. So for help choosing granite or quartz for your worktop, fireplace or stove, visit the Made to Measure showroom at Cashel Creasla or see mtmfireplaces.com or on Facebook.
When it comes to herding up the latest news, views and reviews on farming in Ireland, nobody does it like the Farming Independent. Chasing down key stories, trends and topics from the ever-changing world of farming and agri in Ireland. So pick up the Farming Independent every Tuesday and get the lay of the land. Up close and independent.
We are currently buying all types of excavators, loading shovels and backhoes for export from 3 tonne to 70 tonne. Contact AB Plant Exports Group today and you will receive the very best price across Ireland, north and south. For more information, contact AB Plant Exports Group on 0873 779966.
Should have gone to Specsavers. That's what the ads tell you. But for some people in India, it's not that simple. Imagine having no eye tests or glasses. You couldn't work, so you could lose your home. I'm Lisa from Specsavers, and I'm proud to help the Hope Foundation provide eye care in Kolkata. Specsavers arranged for me and my colleagues to go there and do eye tests. To date, we've given out over 11,000 pairs of glasses. Find out how we're changing people's lives for the better at specsavers.ie.
Welcome to the Betway Handicap Hurdle. They're under starters' orders, and they're off. Out in the lead early on is the favourite, Gaelic Runner, who is unbeaten in her last 3. Followed closely by the outsider, Oscar's Pal, who's failed to play so far this year.
Go on, Oscar's Pal!
So, who are you backing? Underdog or favourite? Visit betway.com or download the app. 18 plus T's and C's apply. Dunlewy.net. Bet the responsible way.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
Okay, and you are very welcome back to the programme. We welcome on to it Raymond. Good morning to you, Raymond.
Good morning, Greg. How's the form?
It's okay, all things considered. What's the story with you?
Well, I just heard on RT Radio News this morning that apparently Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil want to create 15 new TD or, Talk Doyle positions down in Dublin there. Mm-hmm. And, I just thought, this is tantamount, if you will, to corruption, and it's like Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil, in the latest, I think, Red C polls are both polling somewhere about 20-25%. And it looks like they're expecting in the next election, whenever that comes, to maybe lose 20 seats. So, basically, let's see if we can protect 15, if you will, of the boys and girls in our party here, and keep them in, if you will, the lifestyles they have become accustomed to. And this is not democracy. And
yeah, well, I'm slightly disadvantaged, Raymond. I didn't hear that this morning, and I've not been able to see any reference to it anywhere at all. So I'm kind of a wee bit hamstrung and going on a wing and a prayer with you on this one. So I can't even make a counterpoint to you. But you can't see any logic, even with an increased population, for an increase in representation of the people in the Dáil. You think now is certainly not the time, if ever?
I mean, like Ireland has a national debt somewhere in excess of 250 billion euros, I believe, as a result of the pandemic. And previous to that, we had the Celtic Tiger crash. And I'm sure you remember back during the latter days of the Celtic Tiger, the TDs in Dublin were all taking credit for a look at the phenomenal job we've done with the economy, and we certainly deserve much more money here. And it seems to be sort of a repeat in the opposite direction here, because I can't see anything other than, they're looking to pad their back pockets in here, and they're looking to protect, TDs that are going to, perhaps lose out to another major political party in the next election in here. And this is not allowed, from what I understand.
The only thing is that I don't get the logic there. I mean, unless they were placed in strategic constituencies and you knew how people were going to vote. I mean, you could find yourself disadvantaged by a further 15 TDs in power. You know what I mean? That Sinn Féin TDs, for example, or independents, or whatever it might be. Have you a view on? I get the sense, Raymond, that you might already be, not in favour of these St. Patrick's Day trips. But we've had quite a few texts in, and I'm just curious if you have a view on it. Do you think, given the rising fuel costs, what's going on, particularly in Europe at the moment, do you think it would be a good idea for TDs to defer these trips, or do you think now more than ever we need to be, forging new links, maybe opening up new deals that might need to be done? What's your views on the St. Patrick's Day trips at this point?
I think there is merit to people going overseas if it's genuine, and they're not, if you will, sort of junkets in here. So yes, there's substantial merit to getting in front of people, saying this is the case for Ireland or this is the case for Donegal. And I mean, yes, there is. Now, I mean, obviously there's whole issues, on the terrible situation in Ukraine at the moment, and I mean, it's just horrible, but it would be good if the people in Dublin, in the Department of Foreign Affairs, decided that Ireland should take a leadership position in peacekeeping in Ukraine and here. And I mean, they got a seat on the Security Council, and I read when they were getting that seat, they gave out something like 4,000 euros in socks to members in the United Nations to get them to vote, among other sort of goodie bags that they handed out in here. But yes, I think there's merit in them going overseas. But I mean, I wish they would be peacekeepers in here and not sort of
Well, we've adopted a stance. Not we, those that represent us have clearly adopted a stance. Listen, Ray, thanks, Raymond. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, Carmel Doherty is chairperson of the Barrackhill Town Park Steering Committee in beautiful Carndonagh, and she joins us on the programme now. Carmel, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us this morning.
You're very welcome, Greg.
It's good to have you with us. Right, now, you are raising awareness of an application for a significant project. You give me the background to it. You're the person in the know.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you said beautiful Carndonagh, because we absolutely think that up here. The project is to create a wildlife pond and a wetland area, and most importantly for the community, a 5 kilometre walking and cycling trail. And this project will increase our biodiversity because we will have wetland biodiversity in the shape of flowers, trees, shrubs, etc. But I suppose most importantly for our community is it will link the whole community, the housing, the estates, to the shops, the schools, the church, and it will enable families to have a safe place to walk and for their children to cycle their bikes.
Mm-hmm.
And along with that, then it will also help to mitigate flooding.
That's an ongoing issue, isn't it? Particularly around the Millbrae area, I understand.
Absolutely. Millbrae is perennially flooded, and part of the flooding comes from the area from the Ballywilly Brook, where is the river that we want to have the walking trail beside, and it floods the Millbrae on its way into the Donner River. So this pond would collect the water, and the native trees, flowers, shrubs would have very deep roots, and they'll also soak the water into the soil. So it has multiple benefits.
Yeah. Where are we at in terms of this? I mean, are we right at the beginning of this, right at the sort of seedling stage of it, or has a route been identified? Like, have we got landowners on board? You know, what stage of the process are we at here, Carmel?
We are ready to go.
Right.
If we get the funding, we are shovel ready. Is as good as I can say it, because we have the land is council land, it's Donegal County Council land. We have the senior roads engineer, Seamus Hopkins, Jimmy McLaughlin, the other engineer, Paddy McLaughlin, on board. We have widespread support from every community organisation, the schools, IDP. So we have a huge amount of work done, but we cannot apply for the big funding until we have €6,000 in our account. Now, we're a new organisation. We set up on the 25th of March 2021, and we have no funding.
Okay, so can the council not provide this funding? Because, I mean, that's what we're being told we're paying our local property tax for, projects such as these. People might feel in the Carndon area they're getting a bit of bang for their buck if they thought the local authority might assist. As you say, it's just to front load it's a lot of money, but in the wider scale of things, it's not a lot of money.
It's not a lot of money. The council have been more than supportive of us, to be quite honest, with the Barrackhill Town Park. They have provided us with money to buy native plants, native flowers, etc., and to upgrade the park. We are a community organisation, and we work with the council. This application is going to Leader, and that is a requirement of the Leader application.
And I do understand that. So how are you going to go about raising this €6,000, and how can people help?
Yeah, we set up a GoFundMe page. We've a great committee here, and we have a number of young mothers, young parents on the committee, and they're very tech savvy, not like an old granny like me.
Well, we're doing okay this morning, Carmel.
And so they set up the GoFundMe page, and we have, at the moment, we have €250, but we're over halfway. And, what we're looking for is the community to get behind us. And, by getting behind us and reading what we have on the GoFundMe page, it is educational as well.
And can I suggest to Carmel, for those in this area, this sounds like it's going to happen. From my brief reading on it and conversation with you, a lot of money was issued in Donegal for these type of projects. If they're shovel ready, you'd be in a really, really good position for the next round of funding, I think, from whichever organisation you seek it from. This sounds to me like if people have a spare couple of euro, that this is a real investment in their own future and their children and children's future.
Absolutely. And what we're looking for is small donations. Now, one business has already donated €2,000.
Wow.
Which is phenomenal.
Do you know the name of the business?
It's a call centre in Cairn.
Okay. No, the only reason because it's worth mentioning such a generous...
Yeah, no, I mean, we were both away. But what we're looking for is the small donations.
Yes.
It's a few euros, it's a €5, it's a €10, by people at home and abroad.
And I think that too would also indicate, which would be nice for those that have been working hard on this in the background, it would also indicate, as well as being important, a broad community buy into this, that they get the vision of it, that they've read what you want to do and can see the merits in it. So obviously there'd be a lovely financial boost, but I think there'd be a sort of a community emotional boost in there as well. Carmel, dare I be so bold as to suggest?
Yeah, absolutely. The social, mental, physical well-being of results of this project would be phenomenal, and it would be it is a great community initiative. And, we feel, apart from all the other benefits, it would be an eco-tourist attraction as well. And we have big visions. We would like to set up a biodiversity centre in Carndonna where all the local schools could come and do their school projects there as well.
Yeah.
So it has massive multiple beneficial impacts for our community if we just can get to this final 6,000.
Rightio. How do people, if they want to get involved? And as you say, this allows people maybe who haven't originally from Carndonna, or maybe even people down the country or from across the water who like to visit Carndonna. They can have their involvement in this too. So how do people do so?
Yeah, it's on the GoFundMe page. It's on our Facebook page, Barrack Hill Town Park, and Community Gardens Facebook page. And so you can donate through that. And again, any amount of money we will be delighted with it.
All right. It sounds to me like you're going to get there, but the sooner the better. Well done. Yeah. Thank you so much for that, Carmel. Very interesting. All right. Take care of yourself. Thank you. Okay. 086 60 25,000. Keep us busy on the lines this Monday morning. This caller says it's a rich man's war. Claire Daly is for peace and wants no nuclear weapons. She's a member of Independence for Change. Need I explain more? What propaganda are you reading, Greg? I don't understand what you think in any way. Was I disagreeing with Claire Daly? The only thing, and this is a personal view which I don't mind explaining, regardless of any explanations and what you think. Is it the US, is it Russia, is it North Korea, whatever. Personally, for me, anyone who bombs civilians, okay, and that could be in any direction, is, as far as I'm concerned, a crazed maniac, because Claire Daly said the war is happening, the narrative that somehow the war is happening because we're dealing with some crazed maniac in the form of Putin is a distortion of reality. Yes, I believe anyone, regardless of where they're from, if you're bombing innocent children and their parents, well, then, that to me is the actions of someone who's crazed. Totally admire the Polish people in helping the families having to flee. When asked why, someone replied, because no one done it for us when we needed it. Greg, do you think there's some price gouging going on? First it was Brexit's fault, then it was COVID, now it's the Russia invasion. I mean, price gouging, I don't know. I mean, clearly, and I highlighted this before, I haven't, we all know about this, you can still save 10, 12, 13 cents per litre dependent on where in Donegal you are. Okay, is that price gouging? I don't think it costs less money to sell a litre of petrol in, I don't want to say a town because I'm not talking about specific garages, but it doesn't cost any less, I don't think, to sell petrol in Milford as it might, say, for example, in Ballyshannon. I don't believe so. If it's 13 cents more expensive in one place than the other, is that gouging? I'll let you decide what you think. Right. Rapid rise in petrol prices. I do hope our politicians are not inconvenienced too much and are immediately recompensed by an increase in their travel expense allowance. Greg, in light of price rises in fuel and food, it's inconceivable that our politicians still intend to proceed with their St. Patrick's Day junkets while families are struggling to get by. Scrap these trips now. But as I say, and I said it to Raymond a little earlier on, the argument could be, well, now is the time, is it, to go out and forge new relationships, we could maybe maybe forge some bilateral deal with a country that has grain. I don't know. I'm being a bit naive maybe in that remark, but maybe that's an argument, as I say, just trying to play both sides here. I didn't know about Fianna Fáil politicians going to the Ukraine. If that happened, this is what this texter says. What sense was there in 2 Fianna Fáil politicians going to Ukraine? Did they deliver any much needed supplies there and manage to bring out any refugees? Was this just a political PR stunt, I wonder? Another, we need to open up our bogs again and power stations. Makes no sense. Bogs and Bord closed and us importing fuel. Well, we've extended the life cycle, the planned closure of some of our electricity generating plants for other reasons. I just really think that this whole situation with what's going on globally kind of sets back the whole climate change argument a decade, it feels to me. Another caller says, what's the role of our Catholic bishop? He's getting paid to carry out confirmations and meet our young people, but he's not present at any of them. The pandemic is over. No more excuses. It's a disgrace. Well, this has come in a couple of times over the last few weeks. Maybe Caroline might get in contact with the Bishop's office and to find out as to why things aren't now as they were. Another caller says there's no point in politicians from Donegal going abroad to promote tourism, as there won't be anywhere for tourists to stay, as the government intends to house Ukrainians in regional hotels. I haven't heard that being suggested. I'm not, I suspect one TD may have floated that as an idea, but I don't see that being a runner. It's terrible about the war in Ukraine, but I think Ireland is only a small country and should not be drawing attention to itself by all the protesting. I think it's a disgrace how the Russian ambassador was treated in Dublin. Well, you would have heard, I presume, the Russian ambassador's comments on his national TV stations, where he effectively said that we were almost like ringleaders in the propaganda, as he would have it, against Ukraine. How come diesel prices are now level with petrol prices? You've just hit on the question that I wanted to ask our guest earlier when he was on, and I forgot to ask. As I say, maybe Caroline might call and see if he has an explanation for that. There's always been, funny, the diesel prices in Britain are more expensive than petrol in some of the stations I've seen, but here there's always been that gap, hasn't there, where diesel's been around about, what, 10 cents cheaper than petrol. No more the case. Certainly in some petrol stations, diesel and petrol are the same price. Anyone got an explanation for that? Get it to us. 086 60 25,000. Right, let's take a bit of music. Here is Prince. 491 25,000. WhatsApps and texts open to you as well. 086 60 25,000. 086 60 25,000. If you want to email the programme, it's comments@highlandradio.com. And if you're watching us on social media, a very good morning to you. Don't forget you can go on to our website, highlandradio.com. You'll see watch the show live. You can engage with us there. Watch in browser or cast it up to your TV or however you want to engage with us. But the point being, you can comment with us there. Tell us where you're watching or listening from. All right, we're going to be talking about the census. That's coming up after these messages.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features, delivered with the same local trustworthy service of your credit union.
Ireland is leaving diesel behind, and Kelly's Toyota is leading the way with our incredible range of self-charging hybrid electric cars. We've amazing offers, including contributions and trade-in boosters. And with 46 years of experience here in Donegal, you can trust us to help you on your electric journey. You'll never take a wrong turn with Toyota, Ireland's best-selling car brand. Visit Kelly's Toyota Mount Charles or Letterkenny today. Toyota, built for a better world. Terms and conditions apply.
If you've got magic moments or great memories captured on your smartphone, now is a great time to have them printed at mcgees.ie. Simply upload your favourite photos, choose your size and finish, and McGee's will take care of the rest, with the results delivered to your door. Prices are from just 12 cents, and there's also creative options available. Preserve your memories today at mcgees.ie.
Mike Denver in concert with guests Ray Lynham and Brendan Shine at the Inishowen Gateway Hotel Buncrana on Sunday, March 13th. Tickets at hotel reception and ticketmaster.ie. That's Mike Denver with guests Brendan Shine and Ray Lynham at the Inishowen Gateway Hotel Buncrana, Sunday, March 13th.
Fancy getting out of the house this weekend? Call to the Eglinton Market on Sunday from 12 noon at Eglinton Community Hall. Make sure to pop by and grab some handmade gifts, delicious local treats and artisan food. Support your local traders this Sunday at Eglinton Community Hall from 12 noon to 4 p.m.
With the brighter days, it's only natural to think about freshening up the paintwork in our homes, bringing colour and vibrancy to our living spaces. But the important thing isn't just the colours we choose, it's the paint. Fleet Wood use the highest quality ingredients for a richer colour and smoother finish that lets you wipe away the marks of everyday life. And it's Irish made, designed to work with the ever-changing Irish light. Would one range of paints transform your home? Fleet Wood would. Naturally.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the programme this Monday morning. I do hope you're well. It's Greg with you here on the 9 till noon show. Right now, Eileen Murphy is head of Census Administration at the CSO and joins us on the programme now. Hi Eileen, good morning to you.
Morning, Greg.
Right, so the next census, it's really crept up on us, the general population. I'm sure you've been working very hard on this for quite some time, and it will be held on Sunday the 3rd of April. I suppose just for those who want to know what a census is, what it's for, tell us the purpose of it.
So the census is a detailed count of the population at a particular point in time, and as you mentioned, this year it'll be on Sunday the 3rd of April. So wherever you spend the night of Sunday the 3rd of April, you should make sure that your information is recorded on a census form. And the census is used as the basis of planning for so many different things around the country. You know, obviously at a national level for planning things like public services such as health, education, housing, transport. But at a local level, you know, to decide regional policies, again, such as where utilities are needed and transport. But not only government use it, you know, businesses use it to decide where they want to set up and where they're going to have the right catchment for their businesses. And each and every one of us, the census information is available publicly on our website for free after each census. And, you know, so if you want to petition in your area for a children's playground or for sports facilities, you can base that, you know, based on the number of children under 12 in our local area, etc. You know, so huge numbers of decisions on all sorts of things, from large to small, are based on census data.
Yeah, for sure. And regular listeners to this show would know that we're working on, we're awaiting the outcome of the latest census, I beg your pardon, to decide on a couple of projects. One being maybe the provision of a community hospital from the HSE. That's the type of stuff we can be talking about. In terms of choosing a date, because if I happen to be away on April the 3rd, I'm not counted as being in my home, for example. How do we decide on what date, and how can we be sure that it doesn't skew the reality?
Well, we nearly always go for a date in April, so it's a good time of the year because we have to get the enumerators out in the field delivering the forms. So that's we launched last Thursday because that was the first day enumerators were going out in the field to deliver the forms. And obviously, if you go too early in the year, it's winter time, dark evenings, it's difficult. Equally, if you do it in the summer, everyone's away on their summer holidays. So April is generally a good time, and then we always try to pick the census date so it's not during the Easter holidays, so that the majority of people are in their home. So obviously, if you are away on the 3rd of April and you're elsewhere in Ireland, you will fill in the form wherever you are in Ireland on that night. So if you're in a hotel or if you're in your relation's house somewhere else in the country, you will fill in the form where you are on that night. And we do have a question on the form that says, is this where you usually live? And if it isn't, you can record where you do usually live. But equally, if people are going to be outside the country, the enumerator, when they're delivering the form, and we would ask that everyone does open the door to the enumerator to collect the form. They won't be coming into the house, but they just need to get a little bit of information from you on the doorstep and hand over the form.
Just in relation to that,
they will take some information just about where you will be on census night if you're not going to be in your house.
Yeah, just in relation to that, I have seen those that maybe were angry at the government, or I don't know, Bill Gates or whatever it might have been through the pandemic, are pivoting a little bit to sort of encourage people not to engage with this process. I presume your view would be, and I'm not sure that's going to get any traction, but if it were, that would be counterintuitive, wasn't it? Especially if you were looking to attract, investment or services or an increased police presence or whatever it might be into your own area. To not engage would be counterintuitive, as I said.
Yeah, absolutely. The more information we have, the better decisions we can make. So if you want your local area to avail of some of these facilities or funding from government, etc., the more detail we have about the numbers there, the better. And the thing is, the census does not share information with anybody, with any other government agency or anyone outside the statistics office. So your data is safe, and it's never used at an individual level. It's only ever collated together to give anonymized grouped figures. So it's never going to. So there's no risk with giving any data to the census.
Is there an obligation to engage in the process?
There is actually. It is a legal obligation. It is mandatory. It is a legal requirement to complete your census form.
Talk to me about the time capsule section. Well, what is that and how will it work?
Okay, so this is something we have new for this census, and we think it's a world first. And as I just said, the questions on the census form are mandatory, but this is a voluntary question. At the end, well, it's not a question, it's at the end of the census form. And basically, it's a blank space for you to record whatever you want. So if you want to write a message to your descendants, whether you want to share a secret family recipe, if you want to tell them what your life has been like in Ireland in 2022 with everything that's been going on, it's a free box for you to put whatever comes to mind. It will. We won't be examining the contents of it. It will be securely stored, as all census forms are, for 100 years, when they will be released to the public in 100 years' time. So the same way that we're now looking at, we've seen the 1901 and 1911 census forms, and we're still awaiting the next release will be the 1926 census forms in 2026. That when those are released in 100 years' time, that as well as the information that we've seen about in those forms, just names and ages and occupations, there will also be this message to whoever's reading the form at that time.
Okay, and finally, I wonder how the questions are formed, because say, for example, a census like this, I'm not involving you in any current issues or politics, by the way, but say, for instance, the extent of the mica pyrite defective blocks issues across the West Coast or beyond, this would be an ideal opportunity perhaps to have a question about defects in people's homes, or, where we could gather up information on such a scale that would almost be impossible to do through any other platform. Is there any precedent for, it's obviously too late now, but is there any precedent to something like that, or even any merit to the suggestion in that, on very important issues, like particularly this particular one that affects so many people, it could give us a real sense of what the situation is right across the whole western seaboard and maybe further east?
Yeah, so the questions on the census form are decided, some of them are legal requirements under European regulations, but the other questions are decided ourselves. We have a public consultation in between most censuses to ask what questions people want on the forms, and anyone can submit a suggestion for a question. And in 2017 we did that, and we had over 400 submissions for new questions on the census forms. And we convened a census advisory group, which whittled that down and then tested a few different questions in a pilot in 2018 before we decided on the final questions on the form. So if you have suggestions for questions for the next census, there will probably be a public consultation probably later this year.
Okay, just a quick word on the security element of this, because, obviously there's an ongoing issue with bogus callers, and these people will know what's going on. They always do. So from a security perspective, there's going to be strangers calling to people's homes. What will be the procedure? What ID will they try and gain entry to the house, or are these conversations had on the door? What ID, what proof will they have with them?
Yeah, so first of all, to say a census enumerator will never come into your house. So you do not need to let them into your home. And then you will be able to recognise a census enumerator because they'll be wearing a high visibility vest with census on the front and census enumerator on the back. They will also have a census satchel with holding the forms, and they will have an ID card from the Central Statistics Office. So if you ask to see their ID card, it should probably be in a little clear pocket on their high-vis vest, but make sure that you do, if you have any questions on it, just to ask to see that ID. Okay,
listen, thanks for your time this morning. I appreciate it.
Okay, thanks, Greg. Appreciate you having us on.
No problem. Take care. Bye-bye. 086 60 25,000. WhatsApps and texts. Call 074 91 25,000. That was Eileen Murphy there. A caller says it was Leo Varadkar who said about using regional hotels for Ukraine refugees on Friday. Well, I probably could have guessed that even though I hadn't heard it. Just wanted to say fair play to Greg for calling out all people who bomb innocent civilians as crazed maniacs. They talk away about Russia and how they subject to propaganda every day of the week, and we're not. Cop on, folks. We're swallowing the same nonsense every day, but we seem to think we're not. America is the biggest warmonger on the face of the planet. Bar none. That comes in from Ashley. And listen, it is... I have dipped into all media. As I said in the show on Friday, I would get information from Telegram or Twitter, and also like the likes of RT News and our own news. And listen, there is a slant. There is a slant in all media on all sides, and it's up to us to take responsibility to ensure as best we can that we get as much information as we can and then form our rounded opinions, not just get information from people who would like us to think like them, because there's a lot of people off mainstream media in alternative media, and there's no balance there either, okay? So, do go out, multiple sources, never shut off a source, multiple sources, make up your own minds. All right, we're on the way to news at 11.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Driving the new Fiat 500 is choosing an all-new, all-electric car with an impressive range and 0 to 80% fast charging in 30 minutes. It's choosing a car that's so full of tech it will confidently and safely drive you into the next decade. It's choosing to believe in a better tomorrow. Welcome back, future. New Fiat 500 prices start at €24,995 after government subsidies. Book a test drive at Joseph Doherty Limited, Moville, or visit fiat.ie.
With passengers boarding for the holiday of a lifetime, please go woo!
Highland Radio wants to send you on the holiday of a lifetime.
Worth €10,000.
Plus £5,000 spending money. Woo!
Get your ticket now at highlandradio.com. Answer the question and start packing. Start packing.
Draw takes place April 14th on the 9 till noon show.
Get your ticket early and enter a bonus draw for an extra week's holiday in Turkey.
Two for the price of one.
Start planning your ultimate getaway. Only on Highland Radio.
There's more furniture than ever on display at McGinley's Furniture in Letterkenny. With extra floor space, there's more suites, beds, dining room and occasional furniture. Also more rugs, mirrors and lamps, all available for immediate delivery. If you'd like to make a beautiful addition to your home, there's more furniture than ever to choose from at McGinley's Furniture on the Joe Boner Link Road, Letterkenny, and at mcginleysfurniture.com.
70, 70, 70, 70, 70, 70, 70. Choo choo!
Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring up to 70% off sale is now on. Everything's reduced. All tiles, all bathware, all wood flooring. Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring, 70% off sale is leaving the station. Sale now on. Choo choo!
Okay, you are tuned to your number one local radio station. This is Highland Radio. It's the 9 till noon show with me, Greg Hughes. We've a very busy hour coming up. Stay right where you are, covering lots of interesting topics that we hope will inform and entertain. But it is 11 o'clock. It's time for a news update. And it is good morning to Catherine Gaffney.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Around 1,800 Ukrainian refugees have arrived into Ireland, with that number set to increase rapidly over the coming days and weeks. Taoiseach Micheál Martin has said everything will be done to make sure people fleeing the war get proper accommodation, healthcare, education and other services. It's expected in the region of 100,000 people could arrive into Ireland from Ukraine. Some suppliers in Donegal are limiting the volume of home heating oil people can buy. It's due to a surge in demand and a trend of panic buying emerging due to the rise in fuel prices. Some deliveries are being capped at 500 litres in a bid to cater to everyone. Well, as fuel prices rise, taxi drivers are looking for a €1 emergency surcharge on fares. They say they're dealing with a more than 50% increase in costs. There are calls for the HAP scheme to be extended so more MICA families can access it. HAP is a form of social housing support provided by Donegal County Council, where it makes a monthly payment to a landlord. However, it's means tested, resulting in a lot of families not being able to qualify for the scheme. There's further calls on Donegal County Council to promote graining of Alia. There's said to be a lack of signage and information at the tourist attraction located near Burt in South Inishowen. And a weather warning has been issued for Donegal. Met Éireann is forecasting strong to near gale force winds for tomorrow morning and afternoon. That's it for now. We're back with more at 12 noon.
Okay, we'll be back with more on the 9 till noon show after we take this short break. Stay right where you are.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
All roads lead to Letterkenny on St. Patrick's Night, Thursday, March 17th. Enjoy a spectacular night of cabaret and dancing at the Clanry Hotel. Making a welcome return is the widely acclaimed Joe Dolan Show. Remembering Joe, starring Joe's brother Ben, nephews Adrian and Ray, niece Sandra, singing sensation Karen Carroll, plus members of the original Joe Dolan Band. There's no show like a Joe show and always a sellout. So get your tickets now at the Clanry for the St. Patrick's Night Bank Holiday Extravaganza. Call 074 9124 369 or book online at showtours.ie.
With the onset of different variants of coronavirus, it is vital that your business, office or school has the most up-to-date air purification device. McDade's Bathroom Plumbing Tiles introduce the Daikin Air Purifier. It eliminates 99.9% of coronaviruses in under 3 minutes. Ideal for residential settings, offices, classrooms and waiting rooms. Priced at €495, it's a great investment. For more details, contact McDade's Bathroom Plumbing Tiles Buncrana. We're only a phone call or email away.
Derg Valley Care Castle Derg is offering free programmes this month. Menopause awareness on Thursday the 10th from 2 to 5 p.m. Mindfulness on Wednesday evenings and painting to improve your well-being on Monday evenings. To book, call Derg Valley Care Castle Derg.
McCullough Jewellers in Letterkenny are synonymous with fine jewellery, quality watches and giftware, with stores at Main Street, Letterkenny and the Letterkenny Shopping Centre or online at ormccullough.com. You can choose from their quality product range in a relaxed atmosphere, and their sales staff will be happy to help you make the right choice whatever the occasion. McCullough Jewellers, making moments magical for generations.
This Monday on the DL Debate, we round up all the weekend's GA news as our senior hurlers and senior ladies footballers are in league action. Plus a special feature on the show as I travel to North London Shamrocks this weekend, where there's a huge Donegal contingent in the club. We'll hear from ex-Donegal players Michael Boyle, Kieran Green and Peter Woolerow, plus current players who are also playing with London. Terman lads Enda McCormick, Nathan McElwain and Fanards Conor McGonigal. All this and much more, podcast on HighlandRadio.com, just after 7pm news on Highland Radio.
The DL Debate with Sister Sarah's Letterkenny, serving food you'll love till 9pm daily in Sarah's Kitchen.
08660 25,000, that is the WhatsApp number. Give us a call too on 074 91 25,000. Okay, we welcome on to the programme now Brenda. Brenda, thanks very much for joining us today. All right, good to have you with us. Right, tell us your situation, and it relates to your son, Brenda.
Yeah, my son is due now to leave national school now, the end of June, and for secondary school in September. He has no speech and language since he went back to school. The school has been fantastic trying to get the support and help, but they've been trying them. They've been down different routes, but we can't get nobody aboard. They've been asked to attend meetings, but there's been no meetings. Tiernan was diagnosed with autism learning disabilities, and with the teacher going down the route, we discovered that Tiernan doesn't have learning disabilities. It's his speech that's holding him back. He is very, very intelligent, but it's just his speech, and we're crying. I'm so angry and hurt, like other parents are in the same situation as myself, that we can't get the help of speech and language to help to bring him on.
And, you know, as you say, it's not just you. There are many parents in the same situation who are angry and frustrated individually. So tell us, I mean, there's always been problems in this area in terms of getting the services, but were they sort of somewhat suspended because of COVID and are yet to return? Are you being given any explanation, Brenda, is the long-winded way round of asking that question, I suppose?
Well, we lost our own speech and language because they're still sorting out teams at the minute. They've gone into different teams in different areas, but I don't think there's anybody in the area of that yet. Being honest with you, I don't know what's going on because we just can't get no word from them. We just don't know what's going on.
And of course, as you say, this is really important to your son. You're afraid and probably know that if he doesn't get the support, it's going to hold him back, especially as he goes into secondary school.
Definitely so, because Tiernan has a speech impairment that he needs extra speech. So he does Now, the school are doing brilliant. His teacher's fantastic. She's trying to actually take the role over and learn them, teach them that, because we don't have service. You know, it's terrible.
No, it's difficult. It's difficult for you, and you're advocating on behalf of your son. But often, what we're actually talking about is how this is affecting him. It's tough enough as it is, and without these supports, it's even tougher. So, obviously, we want him to get the supports so that it takes a bit of pressure on you. But we can't forget it's really about him, isn't it, and how this is affecting him or how it will affect him.
Definitely so, because when he does get frustrated, the words do come out. The words come flying out. You know what I mean? But trying to get the words out, I'm trying for you to understand. I can understand him most of the time, but if you don't understand him, he really gets upset and annoyed. And with him now going to secondary school, I don't know how he's going to manage, or how the teachers are going to manage to understand him, because the knowledge is all there. You know what I mean? He has everything there. He's got newspapers in front of him, and you can hear him trying to read, but he's trying to make the words out, or kind of mumbles. But he can read newspapers, he can read books, he can do computers, iPads. He's so intelligent. But him having no speech and language, it's going to hold him back, and I'm really, really afraid for him, you know what I mean, with him going to secondary school, and he's getting that much older.
And more aware. Obviously, as he gets older, he's more aware of everything around him, and I think most people will hopefully understand that. So who are you engaged with? So it's not the school, is it? Is it, like, what arm of the state do you contact to say, look, what's going on here? We need these supports.
Autism services we didn't have it for a while, but there's a girl now on board, and she would be our main source of helping us with things. But at the minute, she's only new because she's only on board.
Okay, and what are they telling you? Because we're going to make inquiries and find out what reason they're going to give. And I would invite, by the way, parents or guardians or caregivers in a similar situation to get in contact with us so that we can get a greater sense of the scale of this. And you do so by calling Caroline on 07491 25000. And we're going to work on this and push it right as much as we can, even if it's a case of trying to embarrass the service into doing something, whatever it might take. Maybe it might make a difference. But what are you being told the official reason is, Brenda?
Nothing as such. It's just that there's new team leaders, and they haven't kind of arranged or sorted up areas. But I know myself, they're telling you that there's a shortage of speech and language therapists. But I know myself, there's ones out there that just HSE is just not employing them.
Right,
because I know
if you're a speech and language therapist, as Brenda is, and I'll let you explain how you know Brenda, get in contact with us as well, because that can form part of our inquiries. If you're there and you're saying, look, I can help, but you're not engaging with me. So Brenda, sorry, you were saying you're speaking to someone, they said what?
They were doing a course, and she wanted to do speech and language, and they simply more or less told her there's really no point, because there's plenty of training for speech and language, but they're not employing them.
Yeah.
And they advise her more or less not to do it.
Okay, and for you, time is literally of the essence. The sooner this is sorted, the better. We're going to make inquiries, as I mentioned, Brenda, hopefully other parents and maybe those who are available but aren't being engaged by the services, they'll contact us too, and we'll get as much information together and make representations. But for now, thank you very much, and best wishes to the whole family.
Thanks a million, Craig. Thank you.
All right,
Bye.
no problem. And just to recap there, 086 60 25000 is the WhatsApp and text. Okay, thanks very much, Brenda, for coming on there. Over 20 street lights still out of order for over a fortnight here at Barnhill Golf Course on the main Letterkenny-Ramelton Road. One of the most dangerous and busiest roads in the county. A disgrace in these times. I presume someone's reported that because, of course, these poles have identifying markers on them, don't they? But we can presume they have been. That's been reported. We'll try and see if anyone else has any information on that. 20 street lights out at Barnhill Golf Course. It's obviously an infrastructural problem. 20 bulbs didn't blow, you wouldn't think. Why does the census not capture the number of residents normally resident in that house? What about the thousands of people who might be abroad on holidays or business trips? How does a hotel fill your form? Well, you see, that's all factored into it and averaged it out. And I mean, you have to get it. It's a snapshot. It's a snapshot, and I believe it's been determined that that's the best way of finding out the information. What year was the last census? I beg your pardon. I can't remember off the top of my head. Was it deferred because of COVID or not? If not, it was probably 2018. If I'm in Timbuktu, which I presume you won't be, I'll not be filling out the form. And if somebody happens to be in my house on that night, I will not be filling their name in for the form either. What happens? Well, that's just represented as I don't know if it goes down as a vacant property or how that works. Another caller says census is used for future planning, or so they say. Is that why Donegal is at the bottom of the pile regarding services and infrastructure? Perhaps they may envisage that Donegal will be a wasteland in the future. Okay, listen, we're joined on the programme now by Minister for Agriculture, Donegal Minister Charlie McConnell. Thanks for talking to us this morning, Minister. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg.
Right, okay, so before we talk about what we might need to do, talk to us about what the impact of this war in Ukraine is having now and what the accepted consequences that might be, at least in the short to medium term.
Well, it's something we're looking at across government in relation to the potential impacts of it, but I do think it's something that's going to impact on all of our daily lives in some way over the next number of weeks and months, and obviously it's an abominable act by President Putin to invade invade the integrity of a sovereign country such as Ukraine. We now have, for the first time in many decades, a war on European soil, and that's totally unnecessary. And we're all seeing the massively distressing scenes every night, and it's something we all utterly condemn. And we're working and playing our part in the international community, both within the European Union and also in the United Nations, to try and make that message absolutely clear and to try and bring about a reverse of approach and a withdrawal by President Putin. But in terms of the implications of it, obviously we have seen challenges over the last number of weeks and months in terms of fuel inflationary impacts in advance of the war in Ukraine, but coming out of that, obviously, there is likely to be additional, and we've seen that in the couple of weeks since the invasion. And then from an agriculture and food point of view, it's both Ukraine and Russia are important producers, particularly of grain and of fertilizer. So if you look at it from a worldwide point of view, in terms of the grain that is exported and traded internationally, both Ukraine and Russia between them make up about 30%.
And just in relation to that, Minister, is that seasonal in that, it's not that we can necessarily go to the other 70% to make up the 30% shortfall? Because do we acquire this produce from different places at different times of the year?
So South America obviously would be in a different seasonal situation from Northern Europe. But internationally, 30% of it in total is traded over the course of the year. Obviously, it's a crop and a product that lasts up to 12 months and can be stored. But it does make up about 30% of what is traded internationally. So there's likely to be an impact from that. And then also in terms of fertilizer, about 20% of the fertilizer we would use nationally here in Ireland would originate in Russia. So again, particular challenge there. So that's something that we're very much aware of, and we're looking to take steps to mitigate. I'm meeting with the farm organisations tomorrow evening, and I've assembled a rapid response team within my own department to get a full assessment of what the challenge is and to see the steps that we can take to try and address that. We would import, Greg, roughly about 2/3 of our total grain requirement. We're a tremendous net food exporter and food producer. We produce enough food for about 40 million people, even though we're only a country of 5 million ourselves. So we play a really important role in the international food chain. But important to that is the grain supply particularly that we use for livestock feed. So that's
what can we do realistically in this country to increase our output, so to make us less reliant on grain imports?
Yeah, well, that's something I'll be talking to the farm organisations about tomorrow afternoon and evening, because obviously if there's likely to be supply chain disruption, we need to take the steps we can to produce more grain domestically. And there is a real capacity to do that. We're at the start of the spring growing season, so there's a number of weeks ahead of us where it's possible to take steps to plant more. And that's something that I've been engaging with the farm organisations in terms of how we can respond to that and produce a national effort that
But
will reduce their
realistically,
need for
what could
imported
be
grain.
achieved there in terms of farmers that would want to go down that route, or how quickly that would be turned around?
Yeah, well, I think it will be very doable. Obviously, it's going to take a lot of work, but there's no one better than farmers to respond to a challenge like this. And obviously, each farm across the country will know that come next autumn, winter, there will be a grain requirement for feeding our livestock. So farmers themselves will want to ensure we're taking steps to ensure that there's a consistent supply and sufficient supply next autumn, winter. We are coming out of the winter season where grain demand would be higher when animals are housed. So we're thankfully in the next few weeks coming into the grass growing season, which is a plus. Also from an energy point of view, obviously it's a plus as well that this is March and not October, and that demand will be reducing over the next number of months. But we do.
But what about? I mean, obviously, for you to, if a farmer were to go down this road and to grow this produce, okay, that's going to require, a bit of leniency as it relates, is it not, to how they manage the land, how they feed this crop, and so on and so forth. How would that be worked out?
Yeah, I'll talk about all of that tomorrow afternoon and engage closely with the farm organisations in relation to their perspective on it, because it is something we're all going to have to work together. Obviously, we know the challenge. We don't know how, obviously, the war in Ukraine will evolve in the next number of weeks and months, but we do know that farmers, our fellow European farmers in Ukraine, who had, in the weeks ahead of now and the next few weeks, who have been planning to plant their crops and to be in their fields, are instead fighting a war and are our soldiers. So, and that's going to have an impact, and we then have to respond, looking ahead to next autumn and winter in particular, as to how we can look at what the potential supply.
This has really brought into focus, hasn't it, to you and your government, the importance of, what our farmers actually produce, and supporting them and encouraging them, rather than our over-reliance on imports.
Yeah, I mean, we produce less grain now than we would have in the past. If you go back, I remember even when I was growing up in the farm at home myself, we always produced enough grain for our own use. But over the years, farmers have become more specialised and tend to do one thing or the other now. But there is that knowledge and expertise there in relation to growing crops, and that's just something we're all going to have to look at, because farmers, of course, more than anyone, will want to make sure that we have a consistent supply of grain next autumn, winter, and we do have it within our own hands to really respond to that. But it's going to take a national effort, all of us working together, to ensure that we prepare for that, and that's why I'm meeting with the farm organisations tomorrow evening to step that out.
Lastly, I mean, one of the big input costs, of course, is going to be fuel, but that affects all of us. At the moment, the government's take on petrol and diesel is half of what we're paying at the pumps. What conversations are being had around the cabinet table, metaphorically speaking, to address that, and how quickly are we going to see some movement from the government in that regard?
Yeah, we're very conscious of that, and obviously we're conscious that things have changed in the last week to 2 weeks with the Russian and Putin's invasion of Ukraine. We're meeting with a cabinet meeting now again tomorrow, where a lot of work has been done over the last week in terms of assessing the challenges that are there and how we respond to those appropriately. So the government is very conscious of that, Greg. We're conscious of the increase that we've seen at the pumps. And
so what are you going to do, Minister?
Well, that's something the government will now discuss.
What do you think? What's on the table?
Well, listen, I won't speculate other than to say that we do understand.
But you're a minister, you can't be speculating. You're one of the decision makers.
Yeah, and until a decision is made, I would be speculating, Greg. So with the cabinet meeting tomorrow...
What would you like to see done?
Well, I think we have to have an understanding of the pressure that increased prices are having at the moment on families, and that's something that's central to the government's thoughts and considerations. So, and that's something we'd like to move to address. So, that's something we will be considering further now at Cabinet tomorrow.
Thanks for your time this morning, Minister Charlie McConalogue. I really appreciate it. Peter Lynch is Chair of the Grain Group for the IFA and Vice Chair of the IFA in Donegal. Peter, good morning to you. Thanks for joining us, listening to what the Agriculture Minister had to say there. I mean, are farmers ready, willing and able to do this?
Yeah, well, good morning, Greg. Thanks for the opportunity to come on here. I suppose we know farmers are always willing to rise to the challenge, be it bad weather or COVID or now even possible feed shortages that's coming down the line. There's a lot of options there and a lot of things that has to be teased through. There is opportunities out there, but with every action there's a reaction. I think we have to be very careful that we don't take land out of grass production and end up with fodder shortages next winter as well, so there's a lot of things to talk about there.
In terms of the practicalities of it, I mean, is it can grain be grown right across the country if a farmer has the expertise and the land available?
I suppose if the land's suitable and the weather's suitable, there's no reason why we couldn't go back to a lot of farmers growing. But there's also a lot of land in Ireland not suitable for tillage, and so I don't think a blanket proposal for every farmer to grow tillage is feasible. But I think there's definitely room to improve our cereal acreage. Our cereal acreage has dropped significantly this last 10 years, and I suppose the fast cap and now the new one pushed us in this direction. And unfortunately, that's ended up in reduced food security for the country. And hopefully with a bit of work and maybe a wee bit of push on now from the government, from Charlie as well, that we might be hopeful of turning that tide a wee bit and maybe put a wee bit more emphasis on food security and the fact that we can grow what we need to grow in the country to feed the cattle and feed the people,
Why aren't we doing that already? Is it, why is we going, right, okay, so we only produce a third of this product ourselves, panic stations, what is it the fact that farmers are choosing different methods of farming?
Well, as I've said, sort of the past cap there pushed us down this way, and Charlie alluded to himself, like farmers have got more specialised. We have things like the 3-crop rule come in at the last cap and with Vernight's directive and stuff, and farmers have just tended to focus more on one enterprise and try and do it as well as they possibly can, and it has lost the tillage acreage in the country, which has left us a wee bit more susceptible when you have a major development like this in the older stage.
Yeah, okay. It's just kind of interesting with conversations I've had, with the likes of yourself and other representatives over the year where farmers are trying to argue their importance and feeling those arguments are falling on deaf ears. And now we're having a situation where the government's calling meetings with farmers groups to see what they can do to try and get us out of this mess.
Well, that's unfortunate that we've ended up in the situation we're in. On the Grain Committee, we have been looking at increasing the acreage this past few years and trying to stop the decline in the acreage. But because of, as I say, the past cap and things, just the tillage acreage has fallen asunder. But hopefully we can get it back again, and we will. Farmers are up to the challenge, and we will be interested in helping and doing as much as we can do.
What is the situation currently as it relates to costs? Are you seeing costs increase rapidly, in terms of, what the fertilizer, I don't know, obviously fuel costs, generally speaking? I mean, is it every day it's becoming more expensive?
Well, I suppose since the war started this last fortnight or 10 days there, things have gone astronomically bad, but up to that, fertilizer was rising to nearly unreported levels from before. Like some of the fertilizers 3 times the price it was last year. And excuse me, the tillage price is looking good for the harvest, but unless the prices of other commodities stay up, who's going to be able to afford to buy the stuff? So, off us tillage farmers, that's the major concern as well. But costs are rising all the time. Fuel's a major issue coming forward there now, and I suppose the concern maybe is, will we have fuel to harvest our crops when it comes to it? That's going to be another concern down the line.
All right, Peter, thanks very much. Peter Lynch, Chair of the Grain Group for the IFA and Vice Chair of the IFA in Donegal. Just when you'd be even just trying to get your head around sentences starting, casually with, in a global pandemic, it just feels like, you're past that. And then just sentences starting like since the war started on Europe, in Europe, effectively. Very strange times, from one strange time to another. It really is. Okay. We've still got lots to come on the show. Please stay right where you are. Keep involved. 086 60 25,000. I'll get to your comments that were coming in there during our conversations with Charlie and Peter. And we also have our Monday focus as well. That's all coming up.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Mortgages now available with a personalised service from your local and friendly credit union. Email mortgage@letterkennycu.ie.
Leaving everything behind, people are fleeing the devastating conflict in Ukraine, and they urgently need food, water, blankets and shelter. 7 of the leading Irish international aid charities have come together to form the Irish Emergency Alliance, delivering vital emergency supplies where they are needed most. But we need your help to do this. Please give what you can at irishemergencyalliance.org. Call 1-800-939-979 or text IEA to 50300 to give €4. Thank you.
I'm Sam Shedd, Power Tool Protector Garden Angel. A mess on the inside, but I know what I saw outside. A cat, no, a man burglar, hopped Sam's back hedge and stole his bike. He couldn't believe it, but FBD did. With no excess to pay, they'll get him back in the saddle. After all, sure, support is what FBD do. Visit fbd.ie today to save 25% on your new home insurance quote. €650 limit per theft claim for owner-occupier contents in the open cover. Specified all risks required for items over this value. Claim will affect no claims bonus. Terms and conditions apply. Underwritten by FBD Insurance plc, FBD Insurance Group Limited Trading as FBD Insurance is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
It's been described as the best steak promotion in Donegal, and it continues every Saturday at Kelly's Diner in Letterkenny. For just €11, you get a succulent 8-ounce Irish sirloin steak, cooked to order and served with all the trimmings, including a choice of different sauces. It's available from 3 every Saturday, so why not treat yourself this weekend in Kelly's award-winning diner at Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
Century Complex is the perfect family day out. Kids will love exploring Century Play. There's lots of tasty options available at Backstage Bar and Grill. And at Century Cinemas, we're showing entertaining kids movies, rom-coms, actions, adventure movies, dramas and more. Call us on 074 9121 or visit centurycinemas.ie.
We all deserve a better work-life balance.
But not all of us have the space to work from home.
Connected Hubs brings together flexible workspaces across Ireland on one simple website.
So you can quickly and easily find a hub in your local area.
It's everything you want from an office without the lengthy commute.
Meaning you don't have to trade quality of life for quality of workspace.
Give yourself space. Visit connectedhubs.ie or download the app to discover a hub near you.
Connected Hubs is part of Our Rural Future, a Government of Ireland initiative.
Win with low prices from SuperValue. With great offers like SuperValue Fresh Irish Lamb Leg, save 33%. Epic! Personal non-bio powder 130 wash, only €13. That's 10 cents per wash. Super! And Wine of the Month, Sartori Ripasso, now €10. Winning! Win with SuperValue low prices. Enjoy alcohol responsibly.
Okay, you are very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. Monday focus on the way for you. Does it take a war in Ukraine, says this caller, for the government ministers to wake up to factor in that our agriculture sector is solely dependent on imports thanks to our European rules and regulations? It's not solely, but in majority, but thank you for that. Hi, Greg. For Minister Charlie McConalogue, please implore our Irish farmers who have the wherewithal to do so to start growing grain right away. There's a day coming shortly when there won't be a loaf of bread or a box of cornflakes or Weetabix on the supermarket or shop shelves. Another, everyone should start up small kitchen gardens in their front and back lawns and grow as much as they can to supplement their food. Years ago, Ireland could feed itself. Don't think it could today. It would do no harm for families to start the basics again and show our children how to survive without shops if disaster strikes. Well, let's hope that won't happen. But I do understand where you're coming from. And we heard from Eamon Ryan about anyone with south-facing window boxes to get growing. Ask Charlie McConalogue, he wants farmers to grow grain. How does he propose to keep the deer and geese from eating it? Tell him we are fed up jumping high to stupid schemes. Another here, yesterday I read where Charlie McConalogue is asking all farmers to consider setting part of their farm in grain due to the world shortage and the effects this is going to have on food supply. My point is, last week I read the same paper where the same minister was saying that 200,000 acres were going to be re-wetted and a ban on ploughing in some areas. These regulations are nonsense and are putting farmers out of business, not the price. Farmers knew there was going to be a shortage of food before the war with Russia and Ukraine. Glad you're having the minister on. I hope he will see his mistakes. Ireland farmers should have always been encouraged to grow their own grain and other crops as well. Another time to open our bogs and turf burning stations. We're too reliant on petrol and diesel. Another, wouldn't it be nice to see our fertile fields all crops again, coming in from James. And last one for now. Charlie speaks of Ukraine's sovereignty. What did he think of the leader, Micheál Martin, in the Dáil in 2017 when he said Ireland wants nothing to do with the backward-looking idea of sovereignty? We are fully committed to the ideals of the EU. Right, okay. We'll be joined by our next guests on the programme, our Monday Focus, after these messages. Stay right where you are.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages with life cover provided at no additional cost. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
At Aldi, we're committed to being fairer, greener, healthier. Fairer by raising €1 million for Bernardo's, because no child should be left behind. Greener, we aim to halve our plastic packaging by 2025. Healthier, by providing fresh fruit and veg at amazing prices. Yes, that includes your favourites, kids, sprouts and spinach. Change doesn't happen overnight, but at Aldi, we're working hard to get better every day. See aldi.ie for details.
Mike Denver in concert with guests Ray Lynham and Brendan Shine at the Inishowen Gateway Hotel Buncrana on Sunday, March 13th. Tickets at hotel reception and ticketmaster.ie. That's Mike Denver with guests Brendan Shine and Ray Lynham at the Inishowen Gateway Hotel Buncrana, Sunday, March 13th.
Most people say that Donegal is the coolest place on the planet, but up here we know that sometimes it can be the coldest. Charles Bunner & Sons Ballybuffet is the one-stop shop for all your heating needs. We have a huge range of multi-fuel and wood pellet stoves and ranges, spare parts for all major stove and range brands, plumbing and bathroom ware, all at exceptional prices. So visit our showrooms where our friendly and experienced team will be ready to help you. Charles Bunner & Sons Ballybuffet and the stovestore.ie, where you can always do a good deal better.
For all your training needs, Northwest Forestry Services Training Department Ballybuffet offer a wide range of courses from training bodies such as NPTC City and Guilds, QQI, LADRA and ABA International. Courses include all land-based services such as chainsaw, tree climbing and rescue, pesticides, working in heights and ATV training. Other courses offered include first aid responder, manual handling and building safety, to name but a few. For a full list of training courses and availability, contact Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet on 074 9132033.
This Monday on the DL Debate, we round up all the weekend's GA news as our senior hurlers and senior ladies footballers are in league action. Plus a special feature on the show as I travel to North London Shamrocks this weekend, where there's a huge Donegal contingent in the club. We'll hear from ex-Donegal players Michael Boyle, Kieran Green and Peter Woolerow, plus current players who are also playing with London: Terman lads Enda McCormick, Nathan McElwain and Fanards Conor McGonigal. All this and much more, podcast on HighlandRadio.com, just after 7pm news on Highland Radio.
The DL Debate with Sister Sarah's Letterkenny, serving food you'll love till 9pm daily in Sarah's Kitchen.
Okay, you are welcome back to the programme, and now we are talking about support for bereaved parents as part of our Monday Focus, and hopefully it's a difficult subject, this one, but it's one that you can't shy away of, and hopefully it will be of interest, and it's one of those situations you never want to be the one to have to avail of it, such services, but there is a reality of life as well. We have three guests to welcome onto the programme now. Firstly, we'll say good morning to Margaret and Frank O'Hare. Good morning, both of you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, Greg.
Good morning, Greg.
It's great to have you with us. And also we're going to be talking to Sharon Vard, founder and service manager of Anam Cara. Good morning to you, Sharon.
Good morning, Craig.
Good to have you with us. Before we bring Margaret and Frank into the situation, tell us about the services you provide.
Anam Cara is an all-Ireland organisation, Craig, that was founded back in 2008 by bereaved parents, for bereaved parents. So Anam Cara Donegal has been up and running for the last 5 years. We meet monthly. Obviously, COVID put a little bit of a temporary halt to that. So what we provide, Craig, is information, resources, and I suppose that safe come to a place where bereaved parents, and that would be all bereaved parents, we don't identify by the age of our child or the circumstance of our death, to come and meet with other parents.
Yeah, and there would obviously have then been a gap there before Anam Cara was established, Sharon.
There was. Back, my own daughter died back in 2004, And back then, there wasn't even a DL leaflet that you could take that was, relevant to bereaved parents. But, thankfully over the years, as I said, we started in 2008, and slowly over the years, we've developed an information pack. We've obviously running the groups now online and face-to-face. We run bereavement information evenings, and we've other resources, Craig, like videos. And we've just actually recently launched a suite of podcasts, which are parents, talking about their journey and how they have survived and come through while still kind of remembering their child and being connected to their child that has died.
Okay, Margaret and Frank O'Hare, very sadly you lost your lovely son, Ronan. As much as you're comfortable with saying, talk to us about Ronan and when this happened to you.
Okay, Ronan was a 20-year-old, and he was a second-year student studying accountancy in university. His 21st birthday would have been 2 weeks after his death, and we were all looking forward to a big party. Ronan, like a lot of 20-year-olds, loves his PlayStation, and in particular, he loved cars. He was a hard worker, and using money he had saved up from his 2 part-time jobs. He had just recently bought his first car. He enjoyed the freedom and the independences that we would have given. I think one of us, he didn't like the fact that I didn't like cars as much. Even though I offered to take him on Formula One, he said he would probably go with his friends.
I think we can all relate to that, but go ahead.
So on the 31st of October 2016, which is Halloween, Ronan had parked his car and had joined the rest of the family in Belfast City Centre. That's myself, Margaret, and our 2 daughters. We were going to get as he said, a free lunch courtesy of the Bank of Mum and Dad before going to his lectures in the afternoon. As we walked towards the cafe, he suffered a sudden cardiac incident, and we were unable to revive him despite extensive efforts using CPR and a defibrillator. As you can imagine, the death of our son came with no warning, and we found the shock and disbelief to be overwhelming. The intensity of our grief was suffocating.
And I think, Frank, there is no words that I could ever muster or anyone could ever muster to offer enough sympathy for what you went through. Not just the loss, but that whole experience of it. It's just unimaginable. It really is.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry. Is really what I'm trying to. I don't know. It's horrible for you.
Thank you, Greg. I mean, it was horrific. It was a horrible. It happened in the middle of Belfast City Centre, and it was surrounded by loads of people, and it was just something that you just.
It was one thing on top of another. Margaret, there's nothing to prepare us to be predeceased by our children, is there? I mean, I think as we sort of maybe our parents grow older with us, there's an inevitability about it, isn't it? And maybe subconsciously we try and prepare ourselves, but nothing, I don't think, can prepare you to be predeceased to bury your child.
No, I think that's true, Greg, and I think that I often use a phrase that life made no sense for a long time after Ronan died, and I still think now it's almost 5.5 years later, we still very much see our lives as life before Ronan died and life after Ronan died, and it is a different life, but slowly through time we have learned that you can live again. I don't think you ever accept the death of your child. You don't ever accept that it's happened, but through time, and I would say particularly with the support of Anam Cara, we have slowly managed to work our way along this pathway. Yeah. And we have found the support, particularly the support of other parents, the shared experience of the different ways they have coped. I think that in particular has been a huge success and a huge support for us along our way.
Because of course people are great, aren't they? And in a tragedy like that, there people rally around, and the house is busy, but then very quickly thereafter, that massive, you're back. People have to go back on with their own lives, and they still try and support you, but that big gap, it's there, it's evident, and you have to try and deal with that and move forward as best as you can. And that's, I presume, when getting the right support really kicks in.
Yeah, we were overwhelmed, and we were carried along by very, very many good friends and neighbours, and they still, to this day, people try to help. But it was about 10 months after Ronan died that we first attended our first information meeting, and that was in Armagh, and it was going to the group that no parent wants to be a member of. But when we arrived in Armagh that evening, we were welcomed by another bereaved dad, and he made us feel very welcome. And while it was overwhelming to go into a room of people that were full of parents who had lost their children, by the same token, you immediately felt that there were people there who had that deeper understanding. And that was the beginning, probably a very significant step for us on the beginning of learning how to move forward again.
Frank, was it difficult to attend that meeting, to sort of say, we're all different, but sort of say that, we need to speak to other people, we need to speak to people that are in the same situation, maybe we can't process this on our own the way we need to? Was it difficult to make the decision to go, or for you guys was it easier, if you know what I mean?
It was probably more Donegal for me. I was a typical male. I was going through it, sort of trying to keep my life as structured, as normal as it could be, where Margaret was grieving more openly. So she wanted to go, and I went to support her as such. But very soon realised that it was I needed it as much as Margaret did. I mean, the big thing about the group is it gives you hope. You see other parents who are much further down what we would call the grief journey and how they're coping, and you listen to their stories and you learn from their experiences. So I very quickly realised that it was necessary for all of us.
Yeah, and it is interesting. I directed the question at you because I was kind of trying to put myself in that same position, and it can be a bigger leap for some than for others. And that helps, presumably. I'm not talking about your relationship, of course, Margaret and Frank, but I'm just couples. Everyone goes at different paces. We see even with miscarriages and all different types of loss that people handle things in very different ways, as opposed to if there's third parties there, maybe it helps everyone sort of understand each other more and catch up a bit or slow down a bit or whatever it might be, Margaret.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that you've touched on it there, Greg, about the individuality of grief, and I think that's one of the core values of Anam Cara, that we really learn so much from one another. While we talk at meetings, you do a huge amount of listening, and I think that even from Frank and I going together to the meeting, I probably learned a lot. I listened to him more in that open forum than at times I may have done.
Because you would feel like, why aren't you feeling like me? Why is this affecting me and not you? Do you not care as much? And of course that's not the case, but this is all part of the human emotions, isn't it? Life is so tough as it is, like without...
We all grieve differently, and then Margaret would go to the grave much more than I would go. Margaret would cry more openly than I would do. But we've shared things as well. We have photographs all over the house, and we walk an awful lot together now. We spend more time together now, and we've done parts of the Camino. So it's been a help that way too.
All right, so okay, and Sharon, this is exactly what this is all about, isn't it? It's about having that space for people to operate, to progress however they need to, or at what pace they need to.
Absolutely, and Anam Cara, it's like the face-to-face groups, Craig. They're drop-in groups. Parents come when they want to come, but when you go, there are in that room everybody who gets it, who understands. They're all at different stages of their own journey, and they've all had different experiences. And as Frank and Margaret said, like, grief is as unique as your fingerprint. And even within a family, every family member, including surviving brothers and sisters, will all grieve differently because everyone's relationship was different with the with their brother or sister who died, or your son or daughter who died. So I think that's the uniqueness of Anam Cara, is that, we welcome everyone. It's an inclusive. There's a lot of respect in the room for people's beliefs, be it religious, spiritual. It's a very safe and comfortable place.
And I'm guessing here, but I'd imagine that people might engage with your services for the first time. It could be 10 or 15 years after a loss, that it's just their time.
Yes, and even now, even though we see ourselves as a national organisation, an all-island organisation, still people haven't heard about us. We're still not kind of a household name, but again, would anybody want to know about Anam Cara? Because we're living every parent's worst nightmare, the death of our son or daughter. But people will come at different stages. And again, I think what we have, I suppose, developed over the years, Craig, is that information pack, which is like 8 leaflets written by parents connected to Anam Cara. So that's a good resource for parents in the early days. And then they can, gently come into us, whenever they feel up to it. Yeah.
And Margaret and Frank, there must come a point, I don't know if it's immediately or some way down the line, where you become the support for other people as well. Maybe it's at the first meeting, I don't know, when they think, well, if Frank can do this, or if Margaret can do this, I can, in terms of, chatting and engaging or whatever. Does there come a point, and does it come quickly, where you're helping people at the same time as well, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think that there is a huge amount of peer support within Anam Cara, Greg. I know that you learn. I think there's a lot of milestones that you have to face, particularly in the early years. And I think people will tell you how they've coped with the birthday that happens after your child has died, how they've coped with Christmas or Easter or even holidays, or just all those.
There's something every
events.
month, or two times a month, that you start realising, don't you?
Yeah, every event that is supposed to be a happy family time, that for you after your child has died. So I think there's a huge amount of peer support that happens. Sometimes you'd say something and then a parent will say to you a couple of months later, you said that a couple of meetings back and I tried that out. So it is very much, it's not about telling people what they should do, but it's about learning from the experiences of other parents. And I think that you can be doing that. You can do that without actually realising you're doing it as well. But I know that I learned so much from others about how they coped with all those different things.
Yeah. And Sharon, I presume that while everyone's situation is individual, there are, basic or complex, but, ways of dealing with it that allows everybody to deal with it individually, but there are, we are all very the same at the same time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, and people will deal with different milestones and events in different ways, and there is no, I suppose, Craig, what we recognise in Anam Cara, there is no roadmap. There's no right way or wrong way. There's only your own way and what way you're comfortable with, and I think that's important. And I often think as well, as a bereaved parent, if we choose to survive this, we can survive that. But there are times, particularly, and I'm just conscious of any of your listeners who have been very recently bereaved, it's so devastating, and it's such a nightmare in those early months, even the early years, that, when, like Margaret and Frank said, when you meet someone a little bit further on and they are upright and standing, it just gives you the hope that you can make that milestone.
There's a future.
There's
because
a future,
I presume it can feel very much like, well, what is the future?
Yeah.
Yeah. And in terms of Margaret and Frank, you talked about, people are at different stages or deal with things differently. I presume the meetings are held as such that if you can go to 4 of them. You don't really have to say anything. You can be in listening mode. It depends on no one's obliged to do anything that they don't want to do. It's about having that space to let people do it their way and in their time.
Yeah, it is. It's a very safe, comfortable space. I would say that probably for the first 5 or 6 meetings I went to, I couldn't speak because I couldn't stop crying enough to speak. So it is very safe, very comfortable, and the thing about it is that no matter whatever is discussed in the room is very much just kept within that forum, and it's not discussed outside. So people are, I think it's nice to, at times in a meeting, there will just be a pause for people sometimes to reflect on what others have said, and that actually can be very comforting as well. So there's no obligation to do anything that you don't feel able to do at the time. And also if somebody's upset, everybody's very comfortable with that as well, because it's the most natural. I think another thing that Anam Cara did for me made me a lot more comfortable with my grief, because you understood when you saw other people who were so sad as well, you realised it was actually okay to feel as sad as you did. But then through time, we also learned that it was okay to start to maybe to feel happy at times again.
Do you feel guilty can you feel guilty if you're happy and enjoying yourself? Or maybe guilty is too strong a word, I don't know, but...
I think at the early stages you can, Greg. I always remember shortly after Ronan died, Ireland played New Zealand in rugby, and I watched it, and as you probably remember, Ireland beat them for the very first time. Margaret came into the room, and I was in floods of tears, and she says, are you so happy because Ireland have beat New Zealand? I'm going, no, I feel so guilty that I'm actually enjoyed that match, So, but over time you learn that you can be happy, and people say to us that you will look back with kindness with your children and remember the warmer times, Yeah.
Well,
it does take time.
It's clearly that you're two lovely people anyway. I mean, that's anyone listening or watching will see that very, very clearly. And I wish you all the strength and whatever is required, you know better than I do, into the future. And it's been lovely speaking to you. It's been actually really lovely to hear about your son as well. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you,
I
Greg.
really appreciate it. Thank you so much. That's Margaret and Frank O'Hare there. Finally, Sharon, there's been 2 or 3 interviews over as many days on this programme where it's kind of been talking about dealing with your grief, or not your grief, sorry, dealing with your emotions or dealing with the realities that we have. It seems, is that a thread? Is that important that it seems that our ability to deal with or cope or move forward only happens when we actually start dealing with what's going on in our lives, be it a terminal diagnosis, being it a situation like we've just been talking. Is it important that we address what's going on and not ignore it?
I suppose, Craig, I'm not a professional. I mean, my only expertise is in my own grief, but I think how people have coped in the past with stressful situations or difficult situations will probably have an impact on how they will deal with the death of their child. I think it's really important that people mind themselves in it, and I think it's important they know they're not alone.
Yes.
But yes, typically, and thank God we don't see a lot of it now, Anam Cara, but typically, and I just going back to my own loss of my husband, my husband had to go back to work. He had to, pay the mortgage. He had to pay the bills. So he tended to go back and just get on with things, and probably parked up his emotions, where I was a little bit like Margaret. Like, I spoke and I cried and I talked and I told my story again and again. We all travel through our grief at different speeds, but it is important that we do travel.
Okay.
I think it's when we become stuck and start going around in the roundabout.
That's when the problems start. Okay,
that's
Sharon,
when,
how do people get more details, please, just as we wrap up?
Yes, if they want to come to our website, which is anamcara.ie, so that's ANAMCARA.ie. We also have a meeting taking place in Letterkenny, Craig, this Thursday, the 10th of March. So any of your listeners or anyone who's listening who knows someone, maybe they will let them know about that.
Okay.
And we also have an online meeting taking place on the 21st. So if they come to our website, they'll be able to contact us through the website. And maybe anyone who hasn't got contact with broadband, they can give us a call on 085 288 888.
Okay, and you're amazing too, helping other people through your own devastating loss as well. Thanks so much. You're an inspiration.
No,
I really appreciate it. Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll be back to say goodbye after these.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
With passengers boarding for the holiday of a lifetime, please go woo!
Highland Radio wants to send you on the holiday of a lifetime.
Worth 10,000 euro.
Plus 5 grand spending money.
Get your ticket now at highlandradio.com. Answer the question and start packing. Start packing.
Draw takes place April 14th on the 9 till noon show.
Get your ticket early and enter a bonus draw for an extra week's holiday in Turkey.
2 for the price of 1.
Start planning your ultimate getaway. Only on Highland Radio.
Visit Derry and experience a world of difference just over the border. See the historic walls, the waterfront, and the famous chill-off licences at Devenney, White House, Culmore, Hatmore and Shantallow, which, for some reason, have suddenly become the #1 attraction. So visit Derry and leave with more than just memories. Please drink responsibly. See drinkaware.ie.
Lingering sunsets in Spain, captivating coastlines in Croatia, dinner overlooking Lake Como. It's time to stop dreaming and start doing. Let us guide you to your dream destination. Just show up, suitcase in hand, and we'll take care of everything. Flights, accommodation, excursions, expert local guides, and all that planning. Secure your spot now on a guided group tour with deposits from €100. See traveldepartment.com. Irish owned and operated for over 25 years. Travel Department. Let's see more.
Tune in this Tuesday to the Community Garda information, on air after 10 a.m. on the 9 till noon show with Greg Hughes, in association with Northwest Alarms, your one-stop shop for domestic and commercial security in Donegal.
The Groom's Room is now open and taking bookings for all you grooms getting married. Contact us at Evolve Clothing, Letterkenny Retail Park.
Okay, that is where we have to leave it on the programme today. Thanks to all of you who listened to or watched the programme, took part in it and engaged with us in any way, shape or form. I'm 2 days now with negative tests, so hopefully I'm back in studio with you tomorrow. Thanks to Kevin and Caroline for keeping us on air today. Stay tuned. Frank Alligan's up around the Northwest after the news at 12, but for me, Greg Hughes and the team, chat to you tomorrow from 9.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Your Longcomb free gift is waiting for you at McElhinney's. Simply buy 2 Longcomb products and receive the ultimate beauty routine. Your gift includes a full-size rose sugar scrub, a 7-piece travel set including many of your Longcomb favourites. Plus, choose from our Absolute or Hydrozen skincare collection to complete your gift. Exclusively in-store and online at mcelhinneys.com until March 13th.
Mike Denver in concert with guests Ray